Okay, welcome everybody. It is Monday, April 13th, 2026. It is 7 p.m. and I'd like to call the Select Board meeting to order. If you could join me with the Pledge of Allegiance, we'll kick this party off. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So we'll start with announcements. What have you got, Mike? Anything?
Yeah, a couple of things. We are continuing. We are continuing to work on the survey that we talked about last time. I have a couple of questions to share later with the board. I did go to the state, I think it was called vegetation hearing. It was basically where they're going to be spraying herbicides along Route 495. They invited, I don't know, 15 towns or so to it. We were invited. I went. The only impact it's going to have in the future on us is along the median on Route 495 near the bridge. That's it. To report on that hearing. Let's see. We're going to be talking about the fee structure. I think that's it. Chief's got an announcement he's going to make when his turn comes up.
Okay.
Otherwise, that's it for me.
All right. I don't have any announcements.
Good.
Do you want to, so this is taking the place of our announcements that we were doing at the end of the meeting, so, okay, just making sure everyone knew.
Yep.
Wes?
Nope.
Priya? Sam? Any announcements? So this is different than reports. Reports is reports, this is announcements.
Okay. No.
No? Well, no, we're just changing it up, because I'm like, well, you know, if anybody had anything that they want to report.
I'll report. I had a lovely time at the Oscars ribbon cutting on Friday.
Yeah, I noticed you were the only one that went to it. Did you have the ice cream?
No, it was like 9:45 in the morning.
There's no time for ice cream, Sam.
I was just wondering.
But
No, it's time for ice
But the
cream.
espresso was awesome.
I would like to extend the Select Board's congratulations to Oscar. And,
Thank you
to Leah
for
on the,
representing us.
expansion of service.
Oh, I'm sorry I missed it. That was awesome. Okay. Next up is public input. Is there anyone, any comments from residents on non-agenda items? Either on Zoom or in public? Oh, we have like nobody on Zoom tonight.
Not yet.
Wow.
Good.
All right, seeing nobody raising their hands. First things up is the chief.
Evening.
Good
Thank you for
evening.
having me. Just before I get to the grant, I just wanted to thank the members of the board and Mike for coming to Lieutenant DeRubo's swearing in and pinning ceremony this morning, and thank the members of the board that got back to me, and I appreciate the well wishes for Lieutenant as well. This was a milestone not only for Derek but for our department, and it was much appreciated, the attendance this morning. Thank you very much.
No, it was a beautiful reception. Thank you. And it was nice to meet his family and to see firefighters from other communities came to welcome him and congratulate, well, not welcome, congratulate him.
Yeah, the
So-
turnout was truly a testament to him and his work ethic, and you know
Yeah.
how he's viewed within, not only within our department but with the departments that surround us as
Oh
well.
yeah, the police department was here. Yeah, no, it was wonderful. Ed, if you were there, I didn't see you. Sorry. I was like, but no, it was really, really nice. Thank you. And you have other good news for us. Oh, did you have anything you wanted to say? Sorry.
Yeah, I just wanted to say it was so nice to meet Derek's family. His wife and his two young children were there. His parents and his in-laws were there. Everybody's so proud of him. He's worked very hard. He's very smart. He's dedicated, and we're so excited to see him advance in his career. Chief, your selection and assessment process was thorough. It was rigorous. And I know you had tough choices, but a great choice in Derek.
Oh, thank you. He was clearly the leader coming out of the assessment center. We had 3 area assistant chiefs and deputy chiefs come out and hold an assessment center for our candidates, and ultimately Derek scored the highest, and then in his follow-up interview had an excellent follow-up interview where the choice was clear. So,
Can you do me a favor?
yes.
Can you tell me the hierarchy? What's the structure?
Sure.
from
So
you
we're a
down?
little bit, I know, right?
'Cause
We're a little
everybody
bit
gets
different
confused,
from the
including
police
me.
department, correct? So
Yes.
So we have the chief, and depending on other departments, you could have assistant chiefs. Then you'll have your deputy chiefs, which are generally, some departments have battalion chiefs that will run the shifts. Then you'll have your line officers, as you will. You'll have your captains, then your lieutenants, and your firefighters.
Okay.
And what do we have? Sorry.
Thank you, you go.
So
Yep.
currently, so it's myself. I have myself. Captain Gray is Monday through Friday. He wears a lot of hats. He's fire prevention. He's training. He's working on the truck. So he's not only a line officer, but he's filling those other duties as well that need to get done on a day-to-day basis. Currently, now we have 2 lieutenants. So the goal for us, and we accomplished this through bargaining with the union in the last round, was we had no officers on nights and weekends. Once myself and the captain left, that was it. So we had really no one who was willing to take on the responsibility and the liability for the community and for the town. So we negotiated it in a way that starting this year, the first year of their contract, and over the next 2 preceding, we're going to have more lieutenants. So the idea is at the end of this, we will have 4 lieutenants, 1 per shift, to make sure that we have officer and command presence on every shift moving forward.
Thank you. No, only
Including
because it is hard to
weekends. Sorry,
understand. No, you
sorry.
go, yeah.
Including the weekends, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So that way on nights and weekends, we will have that command presence. So it's just that person that we can trust and rely upon to make the right decisions for us and to, steer the ship in the right direction, if you will, when things start going sideways.
Perfect.
Okay.
And you have other good news for us.
I do. So we, once again, this year applied for the Department of Fire Services Firefighter Safety and Equipment Grant, and we were once again very successful. Lieutenant DeRubo was actually instrumental in helping me obtain this grant this year. So the way the grant system works is the grants are awarded to the communities based on population. So the max that we could obtain is $15,500, and once again this year we were able to obtain the max from the Department of Fire Service for that amount. So we have to be very specific as to what we want to purchase with this grant. So as you know, each year we come forward with a warrant for personal protective equipment, PPE. Well, it's to the point now where that PPE, with that dollar amount, is enough to cover the coats and the pants for the firefighters. So with this grant, we intend to buy all the other things that go along with that ensemble. So we're going to be getting the helmets, the hoods, the gloves, the boots. We're going to get, since the money's enough that we go for is for 5 sets, we're going to have enough to do 5 sets of all of those. Plus, we're going to be able to get an extra set of vehicle struts for the ambulance, because there's times when we go to the highway that we don't have an engine come along with us, and we have no effective way to stabilize a vehicle. So we're able to get another set of vehicle stabilization struts for the ambulance, and then we're also able to get equipment for if we ever had an ASHRA event, which is a hostile act, we were able to get the litters to be able to extricate people from those types of events as well. So we're able to really stretch the amount and get the biggest bang for our buck, if you will, with this. But as you know, this is not a money up front grant. This is a reimbursable grant. So we're going to have to make the purchases and then submit all of our invoices back to DFS, and then they will give us the money. So I'm here tonight to ask for your support and for the approval of this grant.
Now, Mike, how do we pay for it out of the gate in order to be reimbursed? Where's the money coming from?
I think that's a chief question.
Oh, all
So
right.
we have that set up with Hunghwa.
You do?
Yes,
Good.
there's an account that is set up that we use yearly that money comes out, money
Your
goes right
revolving
back in.
fund?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions for the chief?
I think you answered, but let me ask just a quick one. So we don't have to put any other portion. I know, and sometimes we have to put money, and then there's matches.
No, this
or
is
they have
not
to
a
give it to
matching.
us.
It's 100% reimbursed.
Great.
Chief, this is not going to take away, bring our budget down in any way, right? Like,
No, unfortunately, no. This is going to help us with the things that we couldn't afford otherwise.
all right.
Okay. Any other
I'll ask.
questions? I know, hey, I gotta ask, right? Any questions from the public?
Chief, when will you get, when will this come in? Will this be
So
like a
this is the thing,
2 years or?
No, this has to be expended and goods in hand by June 30th. So we're really under the gun this year. So last year, if you remember last year, I was back to you in, I believe it was the end of January, maybe the beginning of February when this grant was awarded. I was just awarded this grant 2 weeks ago. So they're behind schedule this year, so they really have constricted us as far as time is concerned for being able to to get the items and to get everything submitted,
You have your
so.
shopping cart all ready to go?
Have everything, everything's in the cart, just waiting to hit.
And everything's in stock? We'll
wait,
get
wait.
it by the 30th?
Well,
Well,
there
no,
is-
that was my question. So
there are
it's
some lead-
it's more for the supplier, how long is
Yeah,
the
there are some
backlog?
there are some lead times that, I'm sweating it a little bit. I can tell you that if this does get approved, that I actually intend to go right to the computer and start placing these orders now, because I am concerned about the lead time. Just like everything else with public safety right now, the vendor issues. We are having a very difficult time with vendors. These groups that are buying up the companies, and they're just holding us hostage. So it's getting harder and harder for truck parts, equipment, you name it. We have a difficult time. Like if we needed a mirror for the truck, a lot of our vendors right now, because of the way these equity firms are holding these companies, they can't just sell you a mirror. You just can't go get a mirror from another company. You have to wait until they place a bulk order, and once they place that bulk order, you can hope that you made the list to have one sent to you. And I've talked to other chiefs, and some of these chiefs are a year, close to 2 years out just for parts to put their trucks back together. And it's the same thing with all the other vendors now.
Plus, the other thing I saw on the news, that there's actually a lawsuit now about the fire trucks they're holding the towns hostage for the amount of money that they are.
Yes. I don't know what the percentage markup was, but it's a truck that was roughly 650 to 700,000 2-3 years ago is now easily well over $1 million. And it's gotten to the point where there's been Senate hearings on this, where the truck manufacturers have been brought in to testify in front of the senators and to have to answer for why and how this is happening.
Interesting. Okay. Anything else? All right, I move to accept the Massachusetts Department of Fire Services Equipment and Safety Grant in the amount of $15,500 for the fire department.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain? All right,
All
go
right,
shopping.
thank you very much.
No, thank you for everything. It's been a day, huh? Okay, next up, tree risk assessment and management of town-owned trees. So, would you like to introduce yourself and the family and tell us what's going on? And if it's more comfortable, you can sit with the microphone too.
Oh, this is fine.
Okay.
I'm Alex Jordan. This is my wife Jessica, and this is Leland, his first time in the town hall.
Hey, Leland.
Thank you
He's
all for,
starting early.
I was going to say, if Leland wants to talk, he's by all means go right ahead.
We have volunteer opportunities for you, Leland. Yep.
He met you all at the fire vote not long ago, but he's happy to be back here again past his bedtime. We're here tonight just to talk about an issue with a couple of trees potentially. So we live at 429 Hill Road. We moved in 2018. The historic town common essentially functions as our front yard. And as you all know, there's a cluster of mature Norway spruces on the town common in front of our house. And about a year after we moved in, back in 2019, one of those trees, about 90 feet tall, fell. It uprooted during a windstorm at that time, a moderate windstorm. It scraped the side of the house. Had it landed a few feet from where it did, it would have collapsed into the room that Leland is now occupying.
Oh, wow.
Norway spruces are notorious for having very shallow rooting. They can easily be knocked over in windstorms, particularly when they're highly wind exposed, as those ones are, since they're in isolation, not in a forested area. We love the Norway spruces, but we've grown increasingly concerned about the potential safety risk. At that time, back in 2019, we had messaged Mr. Kukla, who acts as the tree warden for the town. He took a look and said that the trees appeared to be in good health, at least back then. We don't have any doubts about that. We have no reason to doubt that. But in a recent windstorm about a month ago, during which I think, incidentally, one of the Norway spruces on Steel Farm got knocked over, we were, again, just concerned about those trees. And I spoke to a certified arborist. She actually recommended, before we might hire her to do any sort of formal risk assessment, just to speak to the town about it again and raise our concern. Through some measurements, which are inexact, I was using phone apps, it appears to me a close call for a few of the trees, whether they're actually in striking distance of the house. If they're not, we have no concern about it. I mean, if one is in terrible health, it probably shouldn't be there, but I assume they're in okay health. I think there is at least one of these trees that's in striking distance of the house. It's about 3 feet wide. According to AI calculations, it may weigh about 15 to 20,000 pounds. So we are concerned about that one and any others in that cluster that might reach the house. The only other concern we wanted to raise was there is a recently grown one even closer to the house than any of the existing ones. It's only about 40 feet high right now, and it's not very wide yet, but it seems like, given how large these grow and their very shallow-rooted nature, it might be wise for the town to remove that one before it becomes a threat to the structure there. So we were just here to raise this concern. We didn't know whether the town wanted to hire an arborist to do a formal risk assessment, or at the least take exact measurements of each of these trees to see whether they pose a threat to our family's safety. That's our concern.
Sorry, may I
Yes.
add one thing, just to also.
Could you go to the mic?
Oh, sorry, it's because, yeah, sorry, thank you.
Because we're on TV, that's why, sorry.
Hi, this is Jessica in Leland. I just wanted to note also, as you're probably aware, the town owns the road by the common, so there is some vehicle activity there were a tree to fall that could potentially impact either a delivery vehicle or somebody choosing to walk down that particular road. So it's not just our house that would necessarily be within striking distance, but any vehicle that chooses to drive or park there, or bike or person. So I just wanted to note the proximity. Oh,
Yeah, I was reaching for the mic, that's so funny. Okay,
thanks.
great. All right, so Ed and Mike and I have spoken about this. You know, are you ready to jump in, Ed? And
Sure.
okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize.
Yeah, we share your concerns, so we've been troubleshooting, but Ed can kind of explain his thoughts on what the process is moving forward.
As Jordan said, the trees in question are probably 100 feet tall, and that's doing an old surveying measurement with a stick that I use, but you know, you could be 10, 12 feet off by using that. My wheel bumping over the ground too is not the best at making accurate measurements, but the tree that's closest to the house, if the measurements do come out correctly, the top could hit the house depending on which way it fell. There is one that's a little right of that and behind it. That's about the same size. That's another one that's probably pretty close hitting the house. That one, just not too sure about. Maybe if we took the first one down, we'd have a better assessment. The trees are still alive. They're not unhealthy whatsoever. The smaller one we can take down. I think that's probably the best bet before it gets too big, because it is closer to the house.
Mm-hmm.
There are two others that are further away from the house that I don't really have a concern about. But you know, my opinion is that if you clean up that area, make it grass, it'll be more presentable and more like a town common area. Maybe something in the future could be done.
Mhm.
So I would possibly recommend removing them all at once instead of waiting and to see what happens. All pines, as you know, have very shallow roots and don't hold up well to windstorms unless they're protected by other trees in big groupings in forest areas. So he does have a concern. They both have a concern, and I think the town should act accordingly.
It's funny, I think that same, well, we know we had a tree come down on Depot Road and hit a house. We had the one at Steel Farm, and now I can't remember where I was, but I was recently in town on land, and I was surprised to see a very large tree upended. So, you know, regardless, we know this it's happening, and we
Yes.
certainly want to protect our constituents. All right, so, first, any questions about the situation, and then we're going to go into historic roads and what we have to do, and the tree bylaws, and kind of what the process is, so we can move this forward, because I do believe we'll need to get the planning board involved. But any questions about the situation first?
Well, I might be tipping over into the bylaws. Ed, from my understanding, we're responsible for trees from the road to 6 feet in on the property? So my question is,
It's town property.
Yeah, we own
This is
that.
on a parcel that's town-owned.
Oh, okay, great.
And
It's,
the bu-
it's the trees surrounding.
I don't know where it is, that's why.
The old
yeah,
Christmas tree, that,
Oh,
right,
okay,
right
yeah.
behind them, if you're looking at it from Middle
Yeah,
Road.
there are
there's a-
trees.
There's a
Oh,
cluster.
I'm sorry. I thought that they were on his property.
No.
No, got it. I'm all set.
Is the old Christmas tree not an issue?
No.
darn it.
Yeah.
It is the ugliest tree, oh my God.
Sorry, just to emphasize, we appreciate and we like the trees. I think what we're eager for is an assessment for more data to understand height in terms of proximity to the house, where the tree to fall, and also just the general health of the trees itself. So I think that starting point is really what we're requesting, and letting the data guide the course of action thereafter.
Well, I think what I heard Ed say is one of them is absolutely tall enough to hit your house. Yes. And then you've got so we've got two that definitely, and then Ed's recommendation is actually we take care of all of it, because he is correct. Once you start disturbing the root systems, they're all doing this. And they support each other. And so once you start removing that, the integrity of the entire area changes.
That's useful.
Sam knows more about this than I do.
I just said it makes sense to me. I defer to Ed.
All right, so next we have to get into process. Have you guys looked more into that?
Yes.
We have, and you may have this information already. Alec and Ed talked as far as triggering the bylaw and all of that. And then I also want to explore a couple of discussions that Ed and I have, because we haven't had a chance to follow up. We talked about if there are any trees, once you do the measurement, the estimation of the height and the measurement to the house, which you have done, topping any ones,
I had the same question. Did you
Yeah.
just shake your head no?
No, you're very susceptible to inviting pests and disease into it with an open top, especially an open top. I mean, anything can get in it that way. We're not going to be able to protect it. And I think once you do that, now we start causing more issues. I mean, the one that's going to fall in the house that we pretty much know will hit the house, it should just be taken down completely. But you did make a great point, is all those pines are growing together with a root system that is intertwined. You start removing one, you might affect that one that's not 3 or 4 feet away from it, which has the potential too of scraping the house. Maybe not falling completely on it, but doing enough where it could cause some damage to the homeowner's house.
And then
Okay, next.
you can speak to the bylaw, or I can read from Alec's email.
Yeah, if you want to read from Alex, I have it too, but if you get it right there.
Yeah,
right.
absolutely. I'm just going to summarize some of the high points in this email. He says that the trees in question that we're talking about are well outside the right-of-way, so despite Hill Road being a scenic road, the state law is not triggered. Furthermore, the state's definition of a public shade tree only extends to trees within the public right-of-way. The definition does not extend to trees in parks and town commons, which these are. It's the land use director's opinion that the proposed trees for removal or possible removal fall squarely within the jurisdiction of the tree warden.
Okay,
does
and we don't
not
have to
go-
worry about the newest tree bylaw, where for every tree you cut down, you have to plant other trees? Okay, so no, it won't happen then, all right. I'm just making sure we're covering all the bases.
Yeah,
All right, so it is within our jurisdiction.
Yeah, so we don't have to involve planning board or bylaws or anything like that. If we see that it's a safety concern, the tree warden can make that call.
Okay.
Sorry, one more question. I'm obviously not an arborist or anything of the kind, but I'm just wondering, in terms of the concern about removing one tree compromising the root structure of the others, if the tree were to be cut down and a stump left with the root still intact, would that avoid the issue of disturbing the other trees? No, it doesn't work that way.
So
Okay,
what I
just
hear
curious.
is that you'd really like to save as many trees as you can?
Yes.
That's what I'm hearing you say. So what we were gonna, the motion here is to ask Ed to go back out and get more information, and which, to do an assessment and report back with recommendations. So I think part of recommendations is going to be understanding what can the town do, what do we need to hire, what's it gonna cost, where's the money coming from? So I think maybe we do some more research on that, and.
Sure.
And I feel you, that provides a cover for your property to some degree. What can we save,
Without a doubt. I do believe that, with us knowing that there is the potential hazard that, you know, the town does need to do something to eliminate that. And we can't, the town and the DPW can't take them down. The trees are much taller than our bucket truck.
Okay.
So I can reach out to our neighbor just to get a quote, just to see what, you know, get a pretty quick quote of what it'll cost.
Okay.
I know there are others out there, and once I have an idea, I'll reach out to others when we decide what we want to do.
Okay.
Ed, I have one other question.
Yeah, Bob could do it. Bob has a chainsaw.
Yeah, that's right. You are very good with it, and you wear all the perfect PPE with it too,
Yeah, you got
right?
your chaps, right, Bob?
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, so I guess the next bridge will cross is what has to happen and how we're gonna pay for it. And we'll talk to the FinCom about how to do that,
Okay.
yeah.
Sorry to chime in one more time. Just curious if the town is willing to entertain a certified arborist assessing the trees to determine what the risk is? Or is that something that we would
We
need
have
to?
a tree warden.
Well, yeah, I mean, I understand where she's coming from. I mean, I have a neighbor that likes his trees as well. And about 3 weeks ago, he doesn't like taking trees down whatsoever. His wife won't sleep at their lake house if it's windy.
Oh,
But
that's interesting pillow talk.
very, very interesting.
You go
He's
to the
he's
lake
amazing
house.
what he'll tell us. But we looked, I went out the morning and I saw the tree out in the neighbor's roof, on the neighbor's roof.
Oh, gosh.
And this was at, I don't know, 5:30 in the morning, so he wasn't aware, so I texted him, they don't live there year-round. This tree was massive, and when you looked at most of the trees on his property, they all look great. When this tree went over, from about the ground up to 8 feet was almost hollow.
Wow.
Because of the infestation, probably of ants, termites, whatever. But
Yeah.
you would have never known it from the outside.
Right.
So, you know, I'm not the certified tree warden who can go in and core, you know, and do that type of work. I do have a gentleman who does our tree surveys for us, that he's coming out in April. He probably take a look and maybe help us decide too as well. You know, might cost us a little extra above and beyond, but it'll help us in determining what our next step will be.
Thank you. Yeah, I really appreciate that. I think having a formal assessment, if possible, so we understand the risk profile of those trees would be immensely helpful. And we wanted to obviously defer to the town on that. Otherwise, independently, we would be happy to reach out. And but when we did, we were encouraged to talk to the town first. So just wanted to understand the course of action here. So a formal assessment would be in the works as the next step.
He's going to have his tree person come, what he just said, he's got somebody coming in April, and he will have that person go and look and evaluate, and then he'll report back.
And having an arborist look at a tree doesn't keep it from falling down in a windstorm.
Yeah.
No, of course, I understand. but
That's the thing is, he's gonna give us an assessment of what he thinks the health of the tree is. But that other tree that came down was pretty healthy too, and it didn't show any signs of,
No, understand. I think as part of that assessment, what we're hoping to understand is whether trees are actually in striking distance of the house itself, which would be useful to know.
yeah, and that's, I mean, the best way, AI, the method I used to do it, it's very difficult getting the exact type, but we can get within probably 10 feet of it. So
Okay.
I think if the gentleman will come out and look at those while he's out here, just to give the town a formal review and have everybody here feel better about the trees.
Yeah.
We can move forward that way too.
Thank you. And sorry, last question, if I may. Would we understand the results of that at a future town meeting, or would we be communicated directly to about that, or how?
He'll give me a report.
Okay,
Yeah.
and that'll be
almost
shared.
right
Okay,
away.
great,
I
thank
don't know
you.
how the rest of the board feels, but I feel like, we're gonna have to figure out the money, but I think Ed communicates directly with the abutters. Do you want him to come back and report to us?
I mean, again, if it involves anything
If it's
beyond,
gonna-
yeah,
It's gonna cost us
money,
money, then,
yeah.
Okay, then we'll have him come back. Okay, so yes, the answer is yes, we'll invite him back once you have all the information, and we'll have another meeting.
Great.
Yeah.
The point of
Thank you all very much. And thank you to the school board
I was gonna say, isn't that the
doing
point
God's
of
work
having
this year.
The professional staffs to manage their budgets, like if it needs to be an RFT, then he would go for an RFT.
Quick question, what is your
It doesn't
address?
be
Is
an
it
RFT.
429?
No, I know, but I'm saying, I don't know why we need to
It
manage.
says
429 Hill Road.
492.
It says 492, it's 429.
All right, I changed it, so I just wanted to make sure, okay,
Sorry, Wes, I want to hear what you're saying.
sorry.
I was just saying, I don't know why we need to have Ed come back and tell us about it. It just seems to me like everyday operations of the DPW and the functions that they have.
What he's saying, he's saying the money, you asked
Yeah.
about the money.
I was just saying, is if it's going to be a situation where we need
Well,
to
wouldn't that
spend
come out of
money.
DPW budget then?
I'd want to
Will it?
report anyway, if we're
I mean,
taking down one tree,
I
two
don't
trees,
think so.
12 trees. I guess
Okay.
I would like to know the scope of the project, so I would like to hear what our arborist has to say, so we understand if we're going to have a grassy town common, or if we're gonna be able to keep the trees, or whatever. So I guess, for me, it's more than just the money, it's understanding the scope of the project. I mean, it is the town common,
Sure.
the old town common.
I do not mind being informed.
Yeah, no, I'd rather be informed than uninformed. All right, well, thank you again. Go hit bedtime hard. Good luck. Hopefully he doesn't fall asleep in the car. Oh, no, he looks like he's in jammies. He's good. All right. Have a great rest of your night. Yes. All right. I move to direct staff to coordinate with the tree warden on an assessment of the town-owned trees adjacent to 492 Hill Road.
429.
It's actually 429.
Oh, it's 429?
Yeah.
Thank you. On 429 Hill Road, and report back to the select board with recommendations.
Second.
Oh, just as a side note, the gentleman isn't coming up to the end of the month, so it'll be, probably could be a month before.
Sure.
That's fine.
Totally fine. Sounds good. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? All right, that one's unanimous. All right, so we have, Adam, do you mind if I move you? Because while Ed's here, we're going to talk about renaming the transfer station and then a preliminary discussion of municipal fee structure, which just makes sense, and then we'll let Ed escape. Thank you for the thumbs up. All right. Okay, Ed, no, I'm sorry, Wes, you brought this forward, proposed renaming of the transfer station.
Yeah, so one of the, one of the abilities of the select board is to name public buildings. We can even rename them, but that's a little bit harder. The transfer station doesn't currently have a name. It's the Boxborough Transfer Station. Well, actually, I don't even know if it's the Boxborough Transfer Station. I think it's just the transfer station. But we have had an employee who, well, he passed away a few years ago, Bo. And I know that Bo has been part of the transfer station since before I even got to Boxborough in like 2000. And so I didn't know if the board would want to consider memorializing or naming the transfer station in memorial of Bo for his many years of service to the town. Because he was also in the fire department, or he worked in the fire department as well. So that was just my thought, and it would be up to the, it has to be a vote of the board, so.
So what's the, did you happen to pull the policy with the town I know there is a written policy on naming buildings.
Yeah, I haven't looked at it recently, but I have read it, and yes, it is up to the board. The board could vote and do that, and name a building, or, so it's within the purview of the board to do that within that policy.
Okay. Yeah, I know the school committee has a different way of managing it, because they had, I think it was one basketball court that wanted to be named for several different people who had passed away, so they created a whole system with public input and a vote, so it's a little more public-facing than the town's policy. What's everybody's thoughts?
I would like to see if we have a policy where we can get public input, just because naming is kind of very emotional and very, important for people, and there are so many, I don't know Bo, but I'm sure he was a great guy, but there were probably others who also probably volunteered or worked for town and like,
At the
so.
transfer station?
Not necessarily for at the transfer station, but it doesn't have to be, when we are naming something relating to the town, it doesn't have to be just the person who worked there, right? So there are so many volunteers that volunteer even in the town hall, so how do we do that, right? So I just don't know if we should have like more public input into this, and maybe everybody will agree for it to be named after Bo, right? And it'll at least let people to voice their opinion. That's my take, as opposed to us deciding unilaterally.
Sure.
What kind of input do you think would
Like, I mean,
suffice, like a public hearing by the select board or some sort of?
Maybe like a subcommittee if they want. I don't know. I'm not sure. I haven't thought
Flyers
about
at the transfer station, like
like
sort of
naming.
like a-
Naming. It doesn't have to be for the transfer station. I think we should probably have like naming buildings, like how we are going to go about it. Because those are names that are probably going to stick for a long time, right? Like, I mean, it's not something that.
Let me jump in on that, on your comment, because I think my hesitation, and I'd like to get some input on it, my hesitation is, and I worked with Bo at the fire station for 20 years, and I've lived in town for 32 years, so I've known how long Bo worked at the transfer station. He was there every single Saturday and every single Wednesday. And he was a friend, and he was a great guy, he really was. My concern is who determines the name on it? Because Bo worked there, and he absolutely did work there. But that transfer station, and from what I could find out, was actually designed by the previous DPW director.
Warren Morse.
Warren Morse. So Warren Morse was the one who was the DPW director, who came to the select board at the time, asked to purchase the land. Then once he got the approval to purchase the land, then he himself drew up the plans. He was a certified engineer, I believe. He's the one who drew up the plans to build it. His crew at the time built the transfer station, and it's been running ever since. So, I mean, he was instrumental in putting the transfer station up in an operation. So it's like, you know, and I don't have the answer. It's like, who should it go after? Should it go after Warren Morse, who built it, who designed it, who asked for it to be built? Was he, my word, more important to the transfer station than Bo? I don't know. And it's like, Bo did work there, and he knew all the residents. He was very friendly, and he helped a lot of people. And I'm not saying, you know, I think to Priya's point, I think it gets difficult to say who was more important for that transfer station. Yes, we want to remember Bo, but I also say, I think we want to remember Warren as well.
Well, Warren does have a room. The Morse room is named after Warren. So he does have a room at the town hall.
Yeah.
Okay, can you put the, I was actually reading that, Mike, when I think you're moving it. Are you the one moving everything on the screen? So I read the top, and we followed that. It's based by someone bringing it forward. Wes brought it forward. Approval process shall be submitted in writing. Include a summary outlining the merits of the proposal, design, wording, background information, rationale, and consideration. All right, Wes did that. And then we consider and vote in an open, regularly scheduled meeting. It's a simple majority vote. Oh, wait. Oh, but renaming must be unanimous positive vote.
Yep.
All right, the board shall not be influenced in its decision by personal or collective prejudice, favoritism, political pressure, or temporary popularity. Sorry. Okay, if the facility or area to be named is occupied or otherwise under the supervision of a particular department, et cetera, we will seek input or comments from that organization. So that would be
Ed.
Now, Becky, would you like to speak first, or do you want to hear what Ed has to say?
Well, I would like to speak first.
Okay.
Because I was actually on the select board when this policy was written, as I think Kristen was, because I looked at the date. And I'm kind of appalled.
I don't know what I did yesterday, Becky.
Well, I'm kind of appalled that we don't have more public input in it, because the school committee has public input in theirs. I think you can, like when the planning board names a road, they look for public input. So I'm kind of appalled. This feels very 16 Pennsylvania Ave right at the moment, with the executive branch just naming stuff. And I would never have done that if I thought this was the case. But to me, this is just like the executive branch is gonna say, okay, we're gonna name it this. Bo was terrific. I mean, he was the face of the transfer station for I don't know how many years, a lot of years. But let's remember, it wasn't always a transfer station. It was an unlined dump. It was not a sanitary landfill. So at some point in the future, it might be reclaimed by the EPA or something to be capped and stuff, because it's probably kind of nasty. And
Our fathers used to lower us down in there to get stuff out of it,
I know, and it used to be a social hour, right? They'd take their 6-pack of beer and they'd throw the beer cans back into the dump when they'd finish. I get all that. But to Bob's point, Warren was the DPW director from 1972 to 2000, and he served as the fire chief in town also from 1972 to 1988, so he did double duty. But, and yes, Warren has a room for him, but both Warren and Bo are on the wall because they both received the Golden Fife while they were still alive.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another way people are remembered in town. None of our other town buildings are named for somebody. And boy, it would take a lot to name town hall, like Mike's
The
great.
Kristen Hillberg Town Hall, I think.
Well,
Yeah.
Mike's great, but the Michael Johns Town Hall, I don't think so, I mean, I think it gets hard, like when you start doing buildings and stuff in town. Maybe a room, maybe like maybe the road leading up to the dump. I mean, that's Codman Hill, but, I don't know. But it just seems to me, start doing buildings and it's gonna get, convoluted.
So you actually made me think of something. Wes, what if we renamed the shed? Like what if there was like a really nice memorial on the shed?
I don't
Bed
really
operated
care, I just
everything.
brought this up.
No,
That was it.
no, you do care because you brought it up.
you
That's
care,
called
right,
caring.
exactly.
And I'm the first one to say that I loved Bo. He was a neighbor. He saved my father's life when he had his first heart attack. I mean, will be forever indebted to Bo. So please know I would love to do something in his memory. So it's just figuring out what's the right thing to do.
Ed?
Well, first of all, I was kind of disappointed by what Becky brought up, because I thought when I left, the DPW was going to be named it.
The Ed Goodland.
My hopes
No,
are
but everyone
dashed.
says it's an
My
ugly
dreams,
building.
my
Do you want
hopes.
your name on that, really?
So Ed, it's
That's
either you leave or you
a
die.
snowplow.
I'll tell you what.
Right down at the other garage. In front of our building, yes.
Yeah.
That he
Oh,
drove all the
that-
time.
That's Warren's.
That's his?
That was Bo.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Bo's?
Bo's,
Yeah,
Okay.
Bo used that
Yeah.
as much as he could.
He kept it running.
Yeah, pretty much so. He kept the transfer station running. I mean, for the 6 years that I knew him, he's probably one of the hardest working employees I've met. There wasn't anything he wouldn't do for anybody, including me. He taught me a lot too in the 6 years that I knew him. And it was, as we all know, a shock the day that we went up there and found him.
Did you find him, Ed?
We went up there, yeah. And,
He called in sick. Oh, didn't call in sick.
yeah, it was a sad day. And I'm not very emotional. It's probably one of the few times I've broken down and cried when I had to make that call to Chief Warren to come up there and break into the house, but we knew he was in there because everything was there. Naming that transfer station, to me, it's a good idea, but Bob brings up some good points too. There are other people that are involved in an organization and making it happen, making it run. My thought after I heard a few of the comments was, maybe putting a sign in the sheds saying dedicated to the employees who have made the transfer station what it is, something of that nature. I don't know the exact wording, and put names underneath it. And it's just a little plaque that would go on the side of the shed instead of naming it, for Bo as the, memorial transfer station dedicated to Bo.
You'd have to be able to pronounce his last name.
Sokolowski. Come on, good Polish name.
Great Polish name. So
You know the problem is with that?
There's nothing wrong with being Polish. It's fabulous.
His temperature
it is. I agree.
You're Polish?
totally.
Yes.
Who knew? Okay.
You put on my kielbasa.
So,
Anyway.
Hearing the comments, I think we should go about it in a different route. Maybe if we're going to name it, I think there should be more public opinion to that. But if we're just doing a little plaque on the side of the shed that's gonna name the people that were very important in doing it, I don't think you need to go that route. I think you just do it, and as people, you know, come and go, I mean, look at Larry. There's gonna be a time when he moves on, or, you know, heaven forbid.
Larry is my age. We're gonna be here for 40 more years.
Larry's not retiring. He's gonna, you know, gonna pass away at the transfer station. And the transfer station is capped.
It'll be odd without him.
Just so you know.
It's not lined, but it's capped.
Yes. Yeah.
And we monitor it.
Right, and it is monitored, that is correct.
It's not poisoning anybody that we know of. I know.
Yeah.
Zip it.
Well, there's no discoloration in the water behind it.
It's a low
There we
bar.
go.
Unlike the one I live next to. So, you know, that's just my opinion, but I think if we do something like that, we can have more people involved in the history of the transfer station and be recognized for that.
Yeah.
Good. Thank
You know, the transfer station is, it's our town center, for goodness sake. And now that we have a swap shed, it's our shopping center too. So is that open yet?
Yeah.
22nd.
Next
Yes,
weekend.
yeah.
22nd.
Or though, yeah.
For Earth Day, it'll be open in time for Earth Day. All right,
Yeah.
shiny squirrel moment. Sorry, Wes, you hate it when I do that. But Wes, what do you think? You brought this forward to the board.
That's fine.
I mean, I'm here, well, no, you brought it forward, and I want to give you, you know, the opportunity to say what you think. You know, what I hear is people are saying, hey, let's gather some more input, or let's go with a plaque. Like, how do you think and feel about this?
Both are fine.
What would you prefer, since you brought it forward?
I don't really care. It was more of just like a passing thought in my head one day, and I was just like, hey, that would be cool, because we have the naming stuff, you know, and I was like, okay, well, that would be cool to like name something. And it's like, sure.
Yeah, unfortunately.
But, yeah.
Well, since you
Yeah.
brought it up, I'd like you to push us in a direction so the board can say that's a great idea. Because somebody needs to say, we either want to have more public input on naming the transfer station, or we'd like to put up a plaque commemorating Bo and Warren, and then we could add future names. So
And you can even do both. They're not mutually exclusive. I'm not against like getting public output. I'm not saying let's just vote this today, we're renaming it. That's not, like, all I was saying is, like, would people be interested in considering it? That was it.
Yeah.
And so there's been no leeway one way or the other than to say get more public input, which I'm fine with. That was all I was trying to do.
Good, that's what we'll do.
all right, so Bob's saying let's put it on the agenda for a future meeting and invite public input.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Anybody else?
I like the plaque idea.
I think
Yeah.
commemorating public works employees is a great idea.
With a plaque or by renaming?
Both,
Yeah.
all of the above.
All right.
And,
Yeah.
and of course, there's multiple, you know, facilities, pieces of equipment. I don't know, but I think commemorating their service in one way or another is a great idea, and I'd love to hear more about how people would like to do that.
All right, so why don't we put it on a future agenda? I will say I'm leaning towards commemorating everyone, because the first thing I thought about is, again, I already told you how much I love Bo. You know, my concern is Larry's just as important, and Warren was important, and, you know, everyone's gonna move on, and in 10 years, people are gonna say, who was Bo? You know,
People are
so.
saying, who is Henry? I don't even know who he was.
Yeah, well,
No, I
yeah,
understand
right,
that,
exactly.
but I like the idea of commemorating as we go, I like that idea, I hadn't even thought about that idea, but I thought the idea that we could continue adding people, you know, is nice too. All right, so why don't we do this, let's continue this discussion, we'll put it on a future select board agenda and invite people that have an opinion to come in and chat with us. Awesome. You have to use the microphone.
Can I just ask so that you relook at this policy? Because when I read it today, I was like, wait, there's actually no public input in this, and there's none, you know,
We
again,
didn't think it through in 2010 or whenever.
apparently
did
we
it.
didn't think it through. We also like didn't think that,
Yeah,
you know, I don't know. I just think there should be public input and time for public dialogue.
yeah. Okay.
All right.
All right, so we're gonna do that, moving forward. All right, while Ed is here, I would like to have a preliminary discussion of municipal fee structures. And, you know, the reason is, you know, probably one of the most significant fees that we charge is for the transfer station. And we have been, and I know you haven't been prepped on this, but I just thought while you're here, you know, we've had side conversations about what might happen. Mike, did you want to kick off the discussion?
Sure. So, as I had mentioned the other day, Kristen, I'm not prepared to do a full brief, but it's a good opportunity to give an update. We are looking at fees across the board. Transfer station is one of them, recreation fees another, inspectional services, permits.
Dog license fees, I mean, everything.
Yeah, all the stuff we do across all of the departments, the boards, et cetera. And we are behind on some. Some are okay, some haven't been looked at for a long time. The transfer station, some of those fees are behind, especially when we look at how far in the red that program runs, because the cost of disposing solid waste escalates so much, even given the fact that we have less solid waste coming into the transfer station. It's not keeping up with the escalating cost of disposing of that solid waste. So that's one place. Another one that we're looking at is the recreation summer program fees, and RecCom has agreed to increase that a little bit. I don't think it'll put it where it needs to eventually be, but it's a step forward. Another one we're looking at is how we do the permit fees, how we collect those, what the amount is, and how we pay those fees out. I'm not ready to talk about that one at length, but in a couple of weeks I will be.
Okay. So Bob was actually the one who asked to get it on the agenda so we could start having these conversations. I think that as a board, a lot of our fees are lower than other towns. And to some degree, to give some of the history is part of it was keeping fees affordable for people. And where do you draw the line between the users and the taxpayer responsibility to maintain a facility? So that's kind of something for us to think about. I think we probably need to get, and I know we've also talked about, could this transfer station be self-supporting? And we've also talked about, sustainability is talking about, going to pay-as-you-throw, which has all kinds of other things going on. We've tried all kinds of things with the transfer station. So I think I'd be looking for kind of a recommendation from you, Ed, on where you think those fees should be. And if you're not ready, don't feel like you have to.
The Sustainability Committee has been a stalwart at pushing, pay-as-you-throw, which, from what I've seen and what I've heard is probably not going to happen. But I did an Excel sheet with the costs for the last 5 years, and I did send it out, and it shows that we are constantly in the red, and every year it goes up by $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 in the red, because, as Mike pointed out, the cost to get rid of our solid waste and our recycling is the big driver in those increases. Right now, we pay $107, almost $108 a ton for solid waste, and our contract goes up by $2.50 a ton yearly. And this Sustainability Committee, was pleased that we take it to Waste Management because they are a waste-to-energy plant. So that is a plus for all of us.
How far away is that? Is that in Saugus?
Half an hour.
It's in Saugus?
It's North Andover.
Okay.
We go up north. And the one that is crazy is the recycling. Recycling right now is at about $120 a ton to get rid of it. When Linda Collins was working for me, which is only a little over 3 years ago, there was a time period, it wasn't long, but the fees were minimal. We were actually getting money back. But that's when another country was taking all our recycling. Now they don't do that anymore, and that's what the problem is we don't have anywhere to get rid of it. And if you look on the numbers on the side of recycling containers, it might say recyclable, but it's not. It's
Is that a state mandate that we recycle?
Yes.
Okay.
They're
what's your
unfunded
question?
state mandate.
Another one.
What's your question?
If recycling is a state
It's
mandate.
required. It's required.
Okay.
So yeah, so we're losing.
Do they require what we recycle, or just we have to recycle something? You know where I'm going with this.
They do.
Okay.
And the list is up there that shows what can be thrown into where.
Okay.
at the transfer station. That's
I'm
why
sorry,
now, mattresses have to be recycled. Another one that's coming down the pike that is a must is the new paper cups that like Dunkin' Donuts uses. At first they weren't, because if you're not aware, there's a plastic liner inside, otherwise it wouldn't work. So they were kind of like getting away from that, but now there is a temporary go ahead to start recycling those, and that'll probably be the next thing that it will be mandatory that gets thrown in recycling. We can't keep track of everything because we don't know what is in plastic bags that people are throwing in the trash. But as you mentioned, Kristen, I think something that is used by certain residents that want to use it should be sustained by those people that use it. And right now we're not. You're relying on the whole tax base to offset the cost of that. And I know that they could join there, get a sticker and go up there, but for some it's just not appropriate, or they just don't want the hassle of not being able to just bring it out to the end of their driveway and have somebody pick it up, and they just roll it back in when they get home from work. So,
Well, don't forget all the condos too. I mean, half of our residents live in condos that pay for their own trash disposal. So you gotta take half of our residents are already not participating, and then probably half of what's left is buying a sticker?
We get about 1,000 people a year.
1,000 households a year?
Households a year, yep.
Okay.
And
1,000 stickers or 1,000 households?
Stickers.
Because you can get 2 stickers per household.
Yeah, but no, that's household, 1,000.
Yeah, you get 2 stickers for.
But you can get 2 stickers.
No, I just, that's what I wasn't sure I was
But
asking the right question.
It's 1,000, and as you're aware, is about half of those are no fees.
Well, that was the next thing I was going to bring up, is as we know, 30% of our population is over the age of 65? 60. I'm not there yet. So we have to factor that in.
Kristen, as you remember, last year we had an intern that did a fee analysis for us, and Ed and I have looked at that data, and I just want to name a couple of things that other towns are doing.
Sure.
that we could consider. One is raising our fees, because our fees are on the low side. Another is charging for some of the extras, like Ed mentioned, mattresses. That's one I think that is low-hanging fruit. Anywhere you go, almost anywhere else is charging separately for mattresses, separately for appliances, washers, dryers, refrigerators, things like that. Furniture, big items. We should be charging at least to cover the cost. I think the last time we talked, the cost for us to get rid of a mattress is $15. Has that gone up since then?
It has gone up to 18. It's going up to 20 the next fiscal year.
Most places are charging between $25 to $50 to get rid of a mattress. I would suggest that we at least consider covering our cost. If it's at 18, maybe we charge 20, so that next year when it goes up again, we're in there. Ed mentioned joining a collaborative where we can get rid of like hazmat and stuff like that more often, but people who take it there, they pay a fee. The town would have to join, and I know Ed's briefed us on that before. And then one other is, while we don't charge anything for seniors or for low income, a lot of towns do charge, but at a reduced rate for some. Like I noticed that many only charge half of the regular rate for seniors. So and that's not everything, but those are some things that we may want to consider going forward. And Ed and I can certainly bring some more pointed recommendations. But in the end, I think it's what the town is willing to, what the town's appetite is for these things. Because when I brought this up several years ago to Select Board and FinCom, the appetite just wasn't there.
I'm pretty sure we shot you right down.
Yeah.
Gone.
As soon as I mentioned seniors, it was like, no. And like, well, and that's fine. It's really, what does the town want to do? But I would say at a minimum, the big items, the furniture, the mattresses, we should consider recouping our cost on those to start digging us out of the red a little bit and start raising, the price of the sticker, because it's not even coming close to covering.
I'm actually not against that, especially now that we have Unipay. Like, it's possible that people can, you know, we could set it up, is it Unipay? Whatever we
Yeah.
have. You go online, you buy a certain number of tickets, and you can use those, and then maybe you wouldn't necessarily have to have a sticker. You could just pay to get rid of your white goods or whatever.
Well-
I don't know, something to think about.
Right.
Because it was a little bit of a nightmare before. People had to come to town hall to pay for what they wanted, then they had a chit, so that they could then dispose of it, and did you have the chit, did you not have the chit, blah, 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 blah.
And my comment is, did that ever get resolved? Ed,
No, it was just
Ed,
a nightmare.
can your guys handle that up at town hall? I mean, at the transfer station, sorry.
Well, we're probably getting ahead of ourselves. I'm
I
just
know,
thinking
I
there's-
know,
there's
and
ways
that's why
to-
I'm saying,
yeah.
that, you know, Mike brings up a point about the mattresses. You know, how do your guys at the transfer station handle that? If they have a mattress and they don't have a piece of paper, whatever it is?
If they didn't have one, I would hope that the residents would be amicable and leave, but
Probably not.
yeah, we have.
People get very
we
heated.
we have issues with stickers, you know, and that's a full-time job, and Greg is doing a pretty darn good job at monitoring as probably as well as Bo did with those types of things, because we know Larry is, you know, he might mention something to him, but doesn't have that, you know.
Personality.
Yes. So, but, you know, I think we've got to start with at least raising our sticker fees a little bit, and maybe charging, you know, seniors a small fee too. I mean, when you look at, you know, if this transfer station ever closed, residents would have to come up with $1,000 a year, probably somewhere around there, to get rid of their trash, which, you know, equates to about, you know, $80 a month.
Does anybody here have a private hauler?
I don't, but I actually just.
All my neighbors do.
Do you know
I-
what you pay a month
Yeah.
for private hauling?
It's like what Ed said, it's like
Yeah.
$100 a month.
$100 a month?
At least 100.
Holy
yeah.
cow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, if,
So we're
If you
still a
add
bargain.
recycle, it's even more.
And they don't let you like bring other stuff.
no.
Yeah, yeah. And then
No swap table, no.
and I pay extra for like white goods.
Yeah,
on
same.
top
So
of that.
I pay for curbside, and it's close to $100 a month, and then it's $30 if I want to get rid of a dryer, a water heater, a washer, any of those things, a mattress. I'm not sure how much a mattress is, but it's, you know, I pay less than I would pay if I was buying the mattress and get it delivered to get rid of the old one, but still, it costs, and it's probably not fair to the rest of the taxpayers here in Boxborough who don't use the transfer station to be paying for other people's mattresses and washers and dryers and things like that, it seems.
Okay, well, I guess the way I'm looking at it is maybe you guys put together a proposal and bring it back to us. I mean, you're the expert, Ed, so.
Yeah. Is there, what would be helpful is, you know, just off the top, is there anything that I mentioned or that Ed has mentioned that you think is a non-starter? Because we don't want to come
The
back with things that.
seniors, I think I don't want at this point, but I mean, there's a lot of burden on them. I
We're
think
gonna
if we
be-
can avoid.
I would love to see a proposal in which there was a discounted senior rate.
So you want
like a
discounted, not
discounted
free?
rate?
Because right now it's free.
Yes.
Seniors don't pay anything.
I understand that.
Yeah. And we did raise the age, didn't we, at one point?
Not since I've,
Is it 65 or 70?
60.
Oh, it's 60.
no,
Right, so
it's
one-
65.
65,
It's
so,
65.
all right.
What is it, 65? Oh.
So one option could be to raise the age, but anyway, all right. I'm not inclined to.
You said
charge-
half get,
About half the stickers are seniors,
okay, so it's disproportionate to the population of the town,
yes.
okay.
It's also, part of it, Sam, is it's the old guard. They're not going to pay someone to pick up their trash, and it's also social. Yeah, I know.
I just want to see the numbers.
I know.
Yeah,
All right, well, right
charging
this
a
second, I'm not
nominal-
inclined to charge seniors anything, but that's me.
I mean, a nominal fee, you know, even if you did $50 a year, that's still an incredible bargain. I mean, in any way you look at it, and, you know, like I mentioned, I mean, I only work here, I you know, propose ideas, and I don't make them, thank goodness. But, you know, we just talked about, Mike just said $100 a month. What would those seniors do if that closed down? They'd have to.
Throw it over the hill in the pit.
In a barrel, yeah, yeah, yeah. drop
You
it.
gotta remember, the seniors are, we're still paying real estate taxes, and we're not educating kids anymore.
Well,
haven't for a long time.
I will say, the last time I remember this came up, and somebody stood up on town meeting
But the
floor and
taxpayers
said,
aren't using the dump.
yeah, someone stood up on town meeting floor and said, I don't get anything from this town except the transfer station. And that just swayed all of town
Well,
meeting.
you get wonderful plowing.
That's right, you did. Well, no, this is just one person's opinion, yeah.
But I'm open to like all the other ones. That'll be the one thing, but of course, like you can still bring it up so that like the board can like discuss and.
I didn't
vote
say
on
one
it.
thing or the other. I said don't take it off the table.
Yeah.
That's right, so.
So if it pleases the board, Ed and I will go back, do some homework, come back with a proposal that we think brings us closer to not running as far in the red,
Yeah,
and with some options.
yeah. I
And-
mean,
and see
especially
what you
for the
think.
white goods, I think that's,
Yeah,
That should be- yeah.
those costs, if I have to guess for those items, minimal. If I had to say $3,000 to $5,000 a year, not, electronics is about $7,000. The big hit is recycling and solid waste. Our other fees are pretty minimal when you look at the total cost of dropping things off at the transfer station. I mean, I brought this up too, is, we pay, don't quote me on this, but I know it's a lot more expensive, around $170 a ton to get rid of food scraps. But it's still, in the grand scheme of things, it's minimal. Right now it's $445 a month to do that, so you're talking, $5,000 a year. And, it does save some space it gets burned, but if you were at a facility that.
You say if it was by the pound, then it would just be in the solid waste
Right.
dumpster, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and you'd be
So you'd
paying,
be paying
a lot,
$107
you'd be paying
a ton for that.
$107
So to your
instead of
point, he
$170.
actually brought it up a couple years ago. It's actually better for the town not to have a solid waste option. I mean, a food.
Sure, I'm just saying it's not costing us $144 a ton, it's costing us $144 minus
No,
$107 a
right,
ton.
right.
It's, yeah.
It's $70, almost
To put it
$70 a
somewhere.
ton more
Yeah.
than it is to put it in a solid
Yeah.
waste container.
Right.
All right. Okay. So we'll leave it to you two gentlemen, or you had to bring something back.
How close do you want to get to a break-even point? Or do you want to make it so we keep up with the cost of doing business at the transfer station?
Personally, I feel like we need the data. I'm not saying we're going there, but I think we need the data because to some degree that does demonstrate that we looked at all of it.
Right, exactly.
So if anybody brings it up, it's like, no, we looked at it and this is what it would be. Will it be onerous to have to do all of that, or it's just a spreadsheet, basically?
No, we can do that. We can come back with something workable and be able to have options
It's
and.
like there's formulas, and
parts,
we can
yeah.
type it
Easy.
in.
Right,
Yeah.
just,
Make sure they're not broken.
I was just gonna say, but I'll be the bad guy. How much did we lose the most recent number?
50,000.
$50,000. So we would have to raise fees, $50,000
No,
to break even.
we'd have to raise fees by $1,000 per person since half of them go to seniors.
500.
So if 500 people are paying for stickers,
They'd have to get a $100 markup,
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
markup, 50,000.
okay.
Wait, so $100 and the fee right now for the people who pay is $150 a year?
So it'd be 250.
So it'd be $250 a year.
No, it'd be $1,000 to get to 50,000.
No,
Someone do the
500
math.
times
Oh,
100 is-
500, yeah,
Yeah.
sorry.
So it'd be $250 a year for a fee to cover the $50,000 that we lost.
This past 25, fiscal
Right.
25.
Yeah, exactly. So the fees would be $250 for the people who pay, is what it would be.
Yes.
And that would get us to break even. Roughly.
For fiscal 25.
Well, yeah, right.
We'll know better in a few months,
All right.
where we're gonna be in fiscal
And so my
26.
summary is that it would cost them $250 versus what we've heard for private, it's costing $1,000 a year.
Easily more than that. actually.
Yeah, if you get rid of everything, right, recycling
Yeah,
and
recycling
trash.
and everything,
Right.
it's
Okay.
more than 1,200.
Yeah, so, yeah, but if just, keep it
Yeah.
1,000, it'd be.
It's still a bargain.
Still-
Right, an individual in town, a homeowner in town, if they wanted private, where they would spend $1,000. Or, as what we're looking at, it would cost them $250 a year to use the transfer station.
Right, as long as you're under 65.
All right, so you guys will come back with something?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for staying tonight, too.
Oh, not a problem at all.
Thanks, Ed.
All right, thank you, Ed. See you
Yeah.
soon.
Not too soon, not like next week. but-
Well, in a month, when you get your
I'll
tree
be-
stuff.
I'm having surgery on my right knee.
Oh, boy. Good luck.
Good luck.
I don't know how long I'll be off it.
Yep.
I'll be able to walk, so.
Okay, good luck.
Good luck, Ed.
Right
Adam,
after surgery.
Well, no, we're not done with fees yet, you guys. We're done with transfer station fees, but this, we are supposed to be talking about all fee structures. So I think, Mike, we're gonna need the RecCom to come in and figure out what they, you know, if there's any adjustments to their fee schedule, for all of their programs, not just Flora? Because
Yeah.
doesn't everything, do you pay, I honestly don't know. Do you pay for basketball and Tai Chi and everything?
The main one that they're gonna be they are adjusting on is the summer program. They're raising the fees for this summer by $25, which is not quite where they need to get to, but it's a start, so I think it's heading in the right direction. I think that's good. The other ones, some.
How much does the tax base subsidize the summer program?
In the past, I think last year or the year before, it was subsidized by about $43,000 for the summer help wages.
Those are the wages for the,
For the summer camp counselors and so on. And so I've asked them to take a more of a business view of it. One, don't hire everybody you feel like for staff, and then look for more money to pay them. Let's figure out how many people you got signed up, what you have for revenues to pay the staff. And obviously, we have to staff it appropriately so it's a safe and meaningful program. But there's some balance there. And so that's going to raise by $25. There are a couple of programs that pay for themselves. They cover their own costs with the fees that are charged. Those are fine. There's something like Winterfest where there is no fee taken in. It costs the town to the tune of, I don't know, $1,500 or $2,000 or whatever it is. And RecCom was able to convince me that, that we should leave that one alone, and that's small compared to the other things, so I left that alone for this year. The big one is really to look at getting the summer program right, because that's where the big expense is.
So, does it make sense, we're looking at this now because we are looking at more constrained fiscal realities coming forward. What do you think of, bringing on some interns to actually go through all of our fees and then do surveys on what's happening in other areas? Is that, I'm thinking about like all the little miscellaneous things.
Yeah, that's what we did.
But
I was gonna say, that's what they did last year.
for all of them?
Yeah,
And do you have that to share with us? Because I can't imagine it would change significantly in a year.
I do.
Okay, so
I
why
do.
don't you plan on sharing that
Yeah,
with
so-
us so we can absorb it?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I had our intern do was look across 20 comparable communities at all the different areas that we serve in, and I have a pretty extensive spreadsheet of that.
So how would you like to handle that? Would you, channeling Wes, would you like to go through that spreadsheet and make recommendations to the board? Or would you like to give the whole thing to us and let us make recommendations? Pick the good choice.
I'm fine with each.
I'd like
No,
to-
no,
I'd-
no,
I'd
you
like-
do it.
I
I'd
think-
like to suggest the first one, and
Me too.
and-
I think
and
that's
we
a
don't have to
smart-
have extensive discussion, but I would like to leave it to Mike to single out. You sent this sheet to us, right? I feel
I
like
have.
I scrolled through
I
a
have,
sheet
and-
of
Oh, I must have missed it.
I
like
sent
way
you-
too many fees. I can't
And-
believe we have so many.
And I
fees.
sent you one that was actually condensed. The full one is enormous. I think the
What did
best
you
thing.
So pick 15 of them. Pick
Yeah,
10 of them.
I
Just
think the
this-
best
this
thing
one's
for the
great. This one's
board-
out of line. This
Yeah,
one, yeah. We
I
don't have to
think
go through
the
every
best
single
one
last
for the board is for me to focus on the areas where we're behind and
Yeah.
make a recommendation on where we bring it up.
Yeah.
And the intent is not to make a profit in any area, but we should at least be covering the cost of the service we're delivering.
Can I make an additional suggestion on top of that? Is like, this is kind of a wacky idea, but like maybe increase all of them by 5%. Things are getting more expensive, town services are getting more expensive, we have more costs, more needs. If there's things that are totally out of line, yeah, let's bring them up individually. But for all the rest of them, maybe just.
I actually think that's a great idea.
Why
I mean,
not?
if inflation is XYZ, then we should increase our fees by XYZ.
And it's not, 2%, 5%, 8%, like, it's not gonna bring them out of line, but we're covering all these other things over here,
Right.
I am sorry I missed that email. I didn't see that spreadsheet, so I apologize.
That's right. I
It
can
was like
resend it.
Yeah, if you-
3 months ago.
Yeah, it was-
Oh, okay, 'cause I was like,
buried in
did you
Yeah, it was
just
probably
send
like
Christmas or
January or
something,
so.
yeah.
Oh, okay. I did see that one. I was like,
Yeah, no,
I don't
I
think I
haven't-
realized an intern did it.
No, I haven't sent
Okay.
anything since.
Oh, okay, good, because I was like, shoot. Okay. No, I like the idea of, why don't you bring us back some recommendations? And and then consider what Sam is saying too, and maybe.
And I don't know what the number would be, but just,
Okay.
let's not leave everything, just because something's in line doesn't mean it needn't be adjusted.
Right. Yep,
All right.
that makes sense.
Awesome. Any further discussion on this one until we bring it back?
There's one other one, and I sent you an email on it, but I'll just mention it briefly. And that is the inspector fees
Yep.
for plumbing, gas, and electrical inspections. While I want to have the conversation first with the inspectors, I at least want to give you a broad brush of what I'm thinking. And that is, currently, whatever permit fees come in for plumbing, gas, and electrical, 90% of those fees go back to the inspectors that do the inspections. That's an old model. A lot of towns were using that model. We haven't moved away from it. It's time to do that. In changing it, I don't think it's going to change, as I mentioned in the email, some of your small project, your residential work or whatever. But there is some large commercial work where there's enormous money going back to those inspectors, where some of that ought to cover some of the other costs of town services. So what I want to come up with, and I have a proposal, but I want to talk with the inspectors first, is something that's fair to the inspectors. Most of them are tradespeople who have their own businesses, and they do this as an aside. But it also has to be fair to the taxpayers. And most of 90% of that money, I don't think necessarily has to go back to the inspectors. A fair share should go back to them to make it worthwhile for them to come and do our inspections. But then there should be, a good amount of it coming back to the town to cover other expenses here.
Consider maybe a cap on some of the bigger commercial projects, because somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought when Cisco first came in, they had their own inspectors. We didn't use the town inspectors, or they paid for them. Something happened with that, Becky, do you remember? Because we had this discussion back then, because we saw this revenue coming in. All right, well, we'll think about some sort of a cap, as I guess.
Mike, you had proposed $60, right? Was that the one?
Yeah, so we have two of the fees that we have. One's $50 per permit, the other one's $60 per permit. What I'm thinking is moving them all to $60 per permit. But the other details, I want to talk with the inspectors before I bring it back.
Okay. And,
So it wouldn't be a big adjustment to what we charge, but it would be adjustment to what we pay out.
okay.
And I want it to still be fair for the inspectors.
Inspectors, yeah.
One, because I want to treat them fairly. Two, because we want to retain them.
Yeah.
We need their services.
And you think that what you had proposed seems like a reasonable amount?
I absolutely do.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
And, I've talked that over with the building commissioner.
Yeah.
We changed to this model in the last community where I work, and the concern was, we're gonna lose all our inspectors, and we changed to this model, and we didn't lose any inspectors. And they knew they were making bank for years, and now they were gonna make something that's fair, but
Yeah.
not quite as lucrative as what it used to be.
Yeah,
Yeah, but it has to be fair for the taxpayers too.
yeah. Okay.
Thank you. You were going anyway. Thank you. Okay. Any further discussion? All right, so you'll just come back to us with more info. All right, now you're up. School committee update.
Hi, good evening. We had a planning board-esque meeting
Oh my
last
God,
Thursday.
I'm so tired. Did you see me like yawning?
No, I was too busy trying to keep
You're
myself
too busy.
awake. Some highlights. First, some good news. We settled with two of our 3 bargaining units this past week. So the custodial union, which is an AFSCME union, and OSA, which is the office staff union. Both of those were settled with 3-year contracts. The COLAs all remained under 3%, which was really our goal there. So that was good news. We're still in negotiations with the teachers union as well right now.
Is that the only one left?
That is the only one left, yep. And then, as I'm sure you heard, we had a very long deliberation and discussion around the reorganization with a series of votes. So the first vote that we took was about the geographic map, where we were going to sort of, how we were going to zone the 2 towns across the 3 schools. And there were small differences between the 2 that, there were small differences between 2 of them, and one had a very different sort of carve out for the part of Acton that would get zoned to Blanchard. The committee ended up voting for scenario 7, which basically takes this contiguous part of Acton, West Acton, that's right along our border, and then scoops into a bit of the south part of North Acton as our catchment for the Blanchard zone. And then there's also a boardwalk zone and a Parker-Damon zone. As you can imagine, as those scenarios were changing and people were looking on the map and seeing where they lived and how that affected them, we would get a barrage of emails saying, don't move me, move somebody else. And so we were lots of back and forth. But I will say that the consultant Dillinger did a really good job of sort of breaking down some of the minutia around that, really carving out neighborhoods that were true neighborhoods. We had a while where we were sort of looking at Minuteman Ridge as a flex area and got a lot of good feedback on that, and that changed as well. So,
Adam, could I ask one question? I'm sorry.
yeah, of course.
Yeah, did you just say there'd be kids coming from North Acton coming to Blanchard?
It is, depending on how you divide Acton, there is a part that is considered North Acton, which is a much larger part of Acton. There's a small part of the northwest side of Acton that is coming to Blanchard.
Because I'm just
Is that
thinking.
Nagog? Where is
Well,
it?
that's kind of what I'm asking.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure,
Yeah, I'm trying to think of, if North Acton is Nagog, I mean, I'm just thinking, that's going to be a hike for those kids.
It's not Nagog, it's not way
Fort
up
Pond.
there.
It's Fort Pond Hill Road.
Yeah.
Like, look at the map.
So it's
You'll-
more
Yes.
than Littleton.
Oh,
Yeah.
So our packet will
Contiguous to
show.
Littleton.
Oh, so it's not Nagog.
Yeah,
No.
but let's be, I want to be very clear
I
here
know.
that even those families will often be driving past the Boardwalk campus to come to Blanchard, right? There was no good scenario here.
no.
The reality is there are not enough seats in Acton to support all the students in Acton after we closed Conant. And so inherently, students were going to have to come from Acton into Boxborough. Yeah, so we voted that. The next thing that we voted, which is sort of the caveat to that, are these ideas of flex zones. So these are zones in both towns that, should enrollment vary over the coming years, where we might say, hey, you are in this zone primarily, and what I will say is part of like the Reed Farm neighborhood here in Boxborough, obviously zoned to Blanchard. But should Blanchard become over-enrolled with just Boxborough students, there's a possibility that those folks could get flexed to most likely Boardwalk campus. And similarly, there are some zones in Acton that are able to be flexed into either between Parker-Damon or Boardwalk, or between, I think, Boardwalk and Blanchard. So the idea here was to create some very clear geographic boundaries, but then some areas where, as enrollment swings, as people move in and out, we can allow the district administration to continue to balance class sizes.
So to that end, right now, there are, and you guys know my number, recall, 380 elementary school children in Boxborough?
I don't know off the top of my
Okay,
head.
no, I just remember, I guess I heard a lot from the Reed Farm neighborhood, very concerned that they were being targeted, because of course they reach out to us also. And, but I think in the near term anyway, it's highly unlikely that any child from Boxborough would need to leave town. Like for the next 10 years, really. I guess well, no, it depends on whether we bring in any kind of housing. There's no new construction.
The compounding benefit here is that our enrollment is still projected to continue to decline over the next 10 years. So
Right.
When you say our, you mean the district or
the
Boxborough?
districts, yes.
The district.
The districts.
Yeah.
So that means that space is going to open up in both towns' schools as the enrollment declines.
Right.
But, you know, some of the feedback that we did get was, why are you identifying flex zones in Acton and not in Boxborough?
I figured there was some tit for
And so
tat.
and it was a good point. Again, the idea of the flex zones was so that we wouldn't have to come back and go through an onerous process like this in 5 years' time. Hopefully in 15 years' time, we might have to look at that again. So it's it gives us the flexibility over time, so that we don't have to go and redistrict the towns again. So in addition to the flex zones, there was a bunch of discussion around the flex zone policy and procedure, because again, we are moving from.
Sorry, can I just have?
Please.
I don't want to go backwards, so I just want to hit that point. I didn't know you had moved on. One question I had gotten was, what if we're drawing a district that includes a bunch of Acton into Blanchard, why are we including a flex zone in Boxborough that is a boardwalk flex zone? And I think you answered it, which is that the current district reflects current population and the flex zone allows for flexibility for future trends, but I want to make sure that my explanation and understanding of that's correct.
The idea would be if there were a development or an influx of elementary aged students in Boxborough and Blanchard was over-enrolled with just Boxborough families, there needs to be a relief valve, which is what these flex zones are, where we can balance that so that we don't sit over-enrolled with gigantic class sizes at Blanchard, and we might have additional space at Boardwalk campus. So the idea is that in the distant future, in case we need to relieve some of the class size pressures in Blanchard, we want to already identify a zone that is targeted to be able to move to Boardwalk.
And the district that is the Acton portion of the Blanchard district is also part of a flex zone.
They are in a different flex zone. I'll have to look again.
But the point is, you would never take someone from that area of Acton and send them to Blanchard while pulling someone out of the Blanchard.
I don't want to use the term never, because there are some flexibility options in there that are a mix between district needs and parental preference.
Yeah, and I don't want to get into the process and the various rules for whatever, but I'm just saying the question I got was like, why are we pulling Acton kids to Blanchard while also creating this other option?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the idea would be that we would not displace a Boxborough student's seat in Blanchard with an Acton student who's opting to go to Blanchard, but you have to think about specialized programs, which we'll have here at Blanchard. You also have to think about different grade ranges, and there's been a lot of discussion around the concept of building utilization, which is number of bodies in the building as a whole, versus class sizes, which is actually how many students you have in a class at that grade level and how many sections of that grade level you have. So it is quite possible that you may have an Acton student who is going to 4th grade at Blanchard, but not space for a 2nd grader from Boxborough to be able to go because we're over-enrolled at that grade. So it becomes very sort of detailed and nuanced as you get.
So my question is an oversimplification as well.
Yeah, that nothing is simple in this process, as we've learned.
Keep going. There's a lot more. I know.
There's a lot more. So the other part of the flex zone was to really detail out what is the policy that we as the school committee own, which is basically a whole rewriting of our enrollment policy, because the old enrollment policy was all choice-based. But then what are the procedures by which the district uses to place students? And so we actually asked the district to come back and codify those. And they said, we can't do that now because we don't actually know what you want. So they couldn't present something to us until we voted it. So that will come back to us by the end of the year. And the way I described this at school committee as well was we started thinking about the boulders that we needed to place, and then the rocks, and then the sand. And so the boulders were our geographic zones. The rocks were the enrollment policy, and the last thing that we discussed and voted on was our transition policy. So these would be temporary policies that we put in place over the period of transitioning, so mostly for just this year. And they serve two purposes. One was to alleviate some of the concerns that we heard from community members who were most likely to be most affected by these transitions, least likely to be in a building with their peers or in a classroom with their peers, or those types of things. And then And also, you know, for those people who, it was mostly around that. So the two votes that we took were to first say, if you are an Acton student who is currently attending Blanchard, you're allowed to grandfather in yourself those currently enrolled students. And I want to say all of these things still have a very strong parental preference. So if you are currently an Acton resident with a student in Blanchard, you do have the opportunity to say, I don't want to go to Blanchard anymore, and you get opted out of that. Most of them, we believe, will stay at Blanchard. One of the caveats there to protect this, because this is a transitional policy, is to say siblings who are not of school aged yet are not protected to also come to Blanchard. So a parent needs to make a choice. If I've got a second grader and a 3-year-old, and my second graders at Blanchard, if I keep them at Blanchard, then my kids may end up going at 2 different schools. So I can opt out of that grandfathering to be able to go to Acton schools and have my 2 children at the same building. Conversely, we voted to allow folks in that Acton zone that are zoned to come to Blanchard to choose to opt out and grandfather themselves at an Acton school. And we recognize that there are some students, those who currently attend Conant, can't stay in their building because their building won't be open anymore. And so that allowed for our last sort of relief valve, which was to say that smallest cohort of people who may be affected, they can also opt to go to a different building inside Acton. And these transition policies they sort of all interact. They're also a balance between a parental preference and then district needs. And the reason that exists is because, as you might have heard, as some of these models come out, the class sizes at some of the grade levels at Blanchard, and this is that difference between utilization and actual class sizes, some of the class sizes at Blanchard were very, very large, larger than what we saw the averages in the other buildings. And so having this sort of transition policy allows us to sort of solve for some of those imbalanced class sizes that we saw.
And so you did just say that, and I know one of the things that I heard a couple times was that you were going to look for volunteers first, and that's something to remind everybody. It's volunteers first before it becomes a school committee or an administration mandate.
Yeah, and I think even still, it's volunteers first based on some of those predefined things, and then volunteers based if you're in the transportation zone already, and then a broad set of volunteers. So very rarely is someone going to be sort of demanded to switch out, because we recognize that we're already making a lot of changes for folks. On the top of class size, I do want to just point something out that's extremely important here. All of our class sizes are going up. We eliminated 11 classroom sections this year. And that was for budgetary reasons. The result is class sizes get bigger. And so we're doing our best through all of these sort of policies to be able to balance those class sizes across the buildings. Blanchard is at the greatest disadvantage because on average you only have 3 sections at a grade level, where the other 2 buildings have 6 sections. So one additional person inside Blanchard doesn't have as many places to go to balance class sizes as one additional student at Boardwalk or Parker Damon. And these were some of the trade-offs that we discussed early on about the partial grade banding versus the full grade banding. Recognize that Boxborough wants to have a full K-6 school, but the caveat there is then we have less flexibility in managing class sizes because we only have 3 sections.
If I remember right, in option 7, you are swinging a 4th grade classroom into Boxborough, so there'll be 4 sections for 4th grade?
Yeah, there's a bubble of 4 sections in one of the grades.
Yeah, and
there.
that bubble will just keep bumping, I'm assuming?
Exactly,
Yeah.
yep.
Okay.
So,
Adam, if I can ask
Yes.
you, I still don't understand in terms of, you said like we only have 3, right? Like in Blanchard. But are there kids from, like, say, in Acton who are in Blanchard? Will they want to go to, like, the Acton schools? Like, since there are more grades there to, like, kind of even out the class size? Is that?
So the sort of the ladder logic of policies that we voted here allows us in the short term to solve for some of this. And then in the longer term, it's important to recognize that in the longer term, if you move into one of these regions that's identified as a flex zone, regardless of what grade you're in, but all kindergartners plus anytime someone moves in outside of the standard enrollment period, if they're in a flex zone, and we say we don't have room at your primary school location, it's quite possible that you would get flexed to the alternate location to help balance class sizes. Does that answer the question, Priya?
Still, no.
It's hard to grasp.
It's a very complicated.
It is, yeah.
Sort of, like I said, sort of lateral logic of how students get placed. The goal here, though, is that we have, again, that baseline. If you live in these parts of the towns, these are the schools that you go to. And then we have a couple of areas that allow us, I say us, allow the administration to better balance the class sizes as students either come to kindergarten or move into the district, so that we don't see a whole rush of people move into a town or a part of town and then having really large class sizes in that one school building. And so there's this flexibility. And again, we worked really hard to balance that flexibility on the district side, but with also parental preference in there, because we recognize that if I move into a flex zone, I don't know what building I'm going to be in until I get enrolled. And so if you move into a flex zone or you live in a flex zone and it's kindergarten time and we've got 5 more kids at Parker Damon than we've got seats for, the district's going to say, is there anybody who would like to go to Boardwalk? And those families will raise their hand, and hopefully you get 5 or more, and then you say, great, you can go to Boardwalk. So you're not being forced to go to the other school, you get that option. And just want to caveat this again, in that situation, sort of after next year, if you raise your hand and say, I'm happy to go to Boardwalk, all of your siblings get to go too. This is not a one and done. The goal here is to not separate families out as they go through the school system.
So what happens if they don't want to if nobody raises their hand? What happens then?
If nobody raises their hand, then the district will have to find
Then the
those 5
flex zone
people.
kids get moved, then the
Yeah.
flex
Oh,
zone is impacted.
So now, would you say that our Blanchard class sizes, will that increase even further? Is there a possibility?
I'm
Further
not
than
going to
what?
take it off.
Further than like what it is currently?
I'm not
Like-
going to take it off the table. I don't
But
know.
they're definitely getting bigger from currently.
Yeah, from current, like,
Okay.
so even beyond that?
Yeah.
It all
That's
depends on what budget we get in the future years.
I
Let's
would
be
argue,
very honest.
I would argue, Priya, that's when the Boxborough flex zone kicks in. If there are kindergartners
It is.
or whatever, or you move into the Boxborough flex zone, it's the same thing. If there's no room in 4th grade, we need to
Then-
find you another school to go to.
Good.
Right,
Can
before
you-
it kicks into another teacher.
Can you remind everyone of what the current enrollment policy is? If you move into the district with a 3rd grader,
So-
what preferences and guarantees are you affording?
Sure. So in the previous choice-based system, if you moved into the district with a student anywhere from grades K through 6, after, I believe it's sometime in May, you can express a preference for a school that you want to go to, but, and in fact, you express your 1st, 2nd, and 3rd choice, but the district has full discretion to tell you which one there's room for you to go to. And
For the kindergarten lottery, you can you also express a preference, but some proportion of kids don't get their preference.
Correct. Thank you for leading me to this point, Sam, which is to say, when we looked at seniors who graduated from AB, roughly 50% of them got to go to an elementary school of their choosing.
50%.
Well, that includes special education, though. You have to, that wasn't just choice, that was also,
right. I mean,
if you were in a particular program in a particular school, right?
But I think, there was a very strong sense of choice in the community, but the reality is that only about half of the students in the district get the choice. And
I
special
find the
education
flex zone.
students
I
still
find the
won't
flex
get a choice.
zone dialogue fascinating because there's an idea that we're somehow not being afforded the certainty that we previously had, and I'm struggling with that.
Yep. Yeah, I honestly, I think we're going to need 2 or 3 years to really see how this works. hopefully not have to iterate it too much, maybe some procedural changes, but it won't be until we get sort of over the shock, over the transition and sort of creation of these new school communities and hiring of a new superintendent, that we'll be able to sort of step back and say, okay, what's working, what's not. So I believe there'll be a great deal of monitoring over the next few years. I would be reluctant to make significant changes over the next few years because we have to see how it plays out, and it's gonna take a couple generations, couple registration periods to do that.
I'm still struggling with, like, I mean, like the discrepancy in like the class size. I understand, like, I mean, there's less classes, but still the difference between the class size in Acton and in Boxborough, it's stark.
So it's not stark. Let's be very clear. We're talking about one or two kids in a classroom.
It looked like it was 21 to 27, right?
So that was the original
7A.
proposal. That doesn't take
That was
into
7A.
account all of these relief valves that we voted in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So there's a big thing there.
Okay.
No, but it's hard. There's a lot of
Relief
iterations.
valves, yeah.
But so just, again, if you think about first grade at a school in Acton, if there's 25 kids and there are 6 sections of those 25 kids, you've got a space where if you've got one extra kid, you can put them in and not blow things up. Where you only have 3 sections, only 75 kids, one more kid is a higher percentage, and it makes things more difficult. But the most important thing here is to recognize that due to budget constraints, we have reduced the number of teachers and sections that we have. So regardless, class sizes are getting bigger, and they will continue to get bigger as we continue to have the budget troubles and have to cut. And you know, as I've been saying and the committee's been saying over the past 5 years, we've cut everything that is not student-facing. All that's left is to cut student-facing services. So class sizes are going to get bigger if we continue to have budget constraints. The bottom line, like there's no way around that.
Okay.
All right, so the good news, the follow-up to this was Superintendent did share with us some of the financial modeling that we've done around savings. Lots of questions about how much money are we going to save and how much is it costing to do this. So with all of the reductions in staffing that we put in place for this year, it was about $1.9 million in savings. Now, we added back in some staff. We recognized we needed more counselors, we needed more nurses, we needed some more office support. So that's about $400,000 of staff that we added back in. We also said we need about $1 million to do the transition of one-time funds out of our excess and deficiency free cash. So in year one, the savings is only $300,000. But because we've cut all of these people, the year one costs are the only year that includes our one-time costs. In year two, all of the staff cost savings increase by whatever our cost of contract increases by with all of our staff. Year two is about $1.5 million in savings. By the time we get to year 5, we've saved almost $7 million. And by the time we get 10 years out.
Cumulative?
Sorry?
Cumulative.
Cumulative, yes.
Yeah.
And by the time we get about 10 years out, we're almost $17 million in savings. And Peter had a very nice graph that sort of shows this, and we've heard this from finance committees before, right? You need to cut now to bend the curve. Because if you keep hiring, it goes like this, it goes like this. Now we've bent that curve. Our expense curve has gone down significantly. So I say that now, and we'll be reminding everybody this over and over again when it comes to budget time next year, and you say you need to cut more, you need to cut more. We have cut, we have bent the curve, and it's a significant amount of savings in staffing costs over the next 10 years. But
How much of that was Conan?
you can't say it's Conan. So these were all staff costs. And as you know, the staffing costs relate to contracts and seniority and all of that. So we didn't cut 11 people from Conan. We cut 11 staff members
Right.
who had certain needs, certifications, and seniority.
Oh, no, I was more talking about facility costs, not staff. I was saying how much of the $1.5 million next year is because we have one less building, less utilities?
None. We didn't take any of the facilities costs into this.
Okay.
So this is pure staffing savings. The facilities we probably look at as avoided costs.
Oh, okay.
Because we're avoiding the renovations that we have to do, which are also significant in the hundreds of millions of dollars,
Right.
but a different type of budget mechanism, right? As excluded debt versus operating budget. And so we said, to simplify things, we just want to talk about sort of the operating budget savings that we've made. There's still things in the works around the cost of maintaining and supporting that facility, utilities, some janitorial stuff. Some of that's still in the works, and I mentioned that last time. So that was, those were our big votes. That was the savings that the superintendent provided us. I will say that the superintendent evaluation process is opening, and if anybody here has feedback for or on the superintendent, you can email Tori and Julie Lalumiere, who's the executive assistant to the superintendent. If you want, you can send it to me and I'll forward it on to those people. But as someone who's written a number of these superintendent evaluations, as much input from as many sources is really helpful. We also voted our fees, and we have raised some of our athletics fees for the same reason, cover our costs. We added an additional strength training coach to the district, and that's fully funded by those fees. And last year we raised our activities fees, we raised our parking fees, all of those things.
All right, can I jump in? What are you doing with those poor recycling kids?
And
Explain to the board what that is.
I was going to say, what?
So there is a club at the high school that is the recycling club, and their key activity is to go around and collect the recycling out of all the recycling bins around campus and
When they're in
deposit
school?
that. After school.
After school.
Oh.
It's like an after-school
They
club.
stay after school to
Okay.
take the trash out.
And they came and they petitioned us to remove their $50 activity fee per student because they felt it wasn't fair that they had to pay $50 to empty the recycling bins.
And it was during public discussion, so they couldn't talk
couldn't
about
talk
it.
about it.
So
And-
I'm
and I
just
will
curious if
say-
you are going to talk about it.
I will say we also didn't talk about it at whatever o'clock it was when we voted our fees because
Right.
it wasn't the right time and place.
Right.
It is on the docket for a conversation
Okay.
between the chair and the superintendent to identify that. These activities fees were started just last year as another sort of budget gap closer. And I will personally say that my son participated in the esports club where he went home and played on his Nintendo Switch with other kids who were at home playing on their Nintendo Switches.
And you had to pay $50?
He decided it wasn't fun after 2 weeks, and I dutifully paid my $50 because there was some staff member who
Well,
was
you call
getting a
it the E what
stipend.
club? The E?
Let's
Okay.
not go into that.
Okay, but I find it
I
fascinating.
recognize the dichotomy there of both as a parent, why the hell am I paying this? But as a school committee member,
Did you have to buy the Switch too?
I need to, no, thankfully, my in-laws bought the Switch
Okay,
for him
okay, good.
before.
That's
That
what
was
bananas are
the
for.
expensive part. We also, just so you know, we voted a change to our calendar. So in recognition of a lot of the work that our staff has to do in prep for this pretty significant change, we added a bunch of half days at the end of the year so that teachers had time to prep, pack, plan, all of those things. And then lastly,
Wait, so you're changing this year's school?
this year's school
And the
calendar
last week of school are all half days.
For this year?
for this year.
Okay.
Yep.
June.
And then we also voted to create what is called the Common Thread Task Force, which is a task force of the school committee that is charged with sort of helping carry traditions on from the old schools into the new schools, because there's, I'm not going to get into how the sausage is made here, but PTOs are separate bodies from the organization, from the school district, but they are tied to the school building that they're in. And all of the Acton school PTOs have this conundrum where their schools won't exist next year. And so we've been trying to support them through that transition. And because those PTOs typically pass leadership down from year to year to year, they don't know, those families don't know what school they're going to be at. And so it's hard to nominate a president and a treasurer and all of that for the PTO moving forward. So the school committee voted a task force to help support that.
So you just made me think of something, and it kind of goes back to Wes's naming of the transfer station. All right, so the Paul P. Gates School no longer exists. Like, are you going to rename the upper and lower elementary schools? I'm just asking what the plan is, or is it just Parker Damon and Boardwalk? Suck it up.
We decided to park that for this year.
Okay, that's a
Because there
fair.
are a lot of intricacies with the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education in the naming of your buildings and the consistency around data gathering over history and all of that. And that was up against, you know, the desire to allow the community some time to create their own community around those schools, and very pragmatically, the finance department needed some names to put budget lines against.
Gotcha.
And so
So it's
we already
upper,
had names for the
lower.
buildings.
Okay.
And we said, we'll just have the Parker Damon up and the Parker Damon lower.
Yeah.
And we'll leave it to those groups over the next few years to decide if there's something that they want to do around the names.
If you let a bunch of children between the ages of 5 and 12 name their school, I cannot even imagine. Yeah, 6, 7.
Honestly,
The
I would
6,
say
7
it's
school.
I would be equally concerned with some of the parents who've been emailing us, giving them the same. And look, I'm empathetic. I understand where the parents are coming from. But we all have our own point of view. And
God.
the unfortunate position of the school committee is we get to see everybody's point of view. And it's not been an easy time.
So you're pessimistic about an Adam Klein school.
Yeah, I don't
please,
see
no.
that happening. I know.
We'd just be taking graffiti off that building all day long at this point.
I can picture some pictures. Okay.
Lastly, the Acton School Committee members, this was their last meeting, so Tori, the chair, Leela Ramachandran, who is the vice chair, and Yanshin Schmidt were the 3 whose terms were up this year. Leela and Yanshin have decided not to run again. Tori is running again. There are 6 people running in Acton for those 3 seats, so it's a pretty exciting election. And there are 2 seats here in Boxborough that are up, both Vikram's and...
Right? Isn't there 3?
4.
2 seats.
2 seats.
2 seats.
Yeah,
to
it's
two
two,
seats.
it's 2 seats, 4 people.
4 people
people?
running?
Yeah.
Well, Victor hasn't returned his papers.
Well, he hasn't returned his paper.
4 people have pulled papers, and as far as I heard, as of earlier today, only 2 had submitted their papers.
Three.
Victor's not returning his.
He's not? Okay.
Okay, whatever.
So there's quite possibly a contested election here in Boxborough as
Yep.
well.
Yep.
The Boxborough members, as you know, won't come to sit on the committee until, I believe it's our first meeting in June, assuming that they get sworn in between when they get elected and 2 days later when our next school committee meeting is.
Okay.
Thank you, Adam. I don't know how you keep it all clear in your head. I mean, you're there rattling off exactly specific things that are happening, and I lose some of it, I'm going to be honest, but I appreciate your in-depth knowledge and your detailed explanations.
Thank you.
I'm really glad you come, and I don't have to give the update because I'd be stuttering.
I have one question for Adam with my apologies. Can you explain the teacher reassignment decision?
Only partially. So I will start
As
by
much as you can.
I will start by caveating this, that as a school committee member, I have 3 responsibilities. One is to set policy, one is to set and approve a budget, and the third is to supervise and hire the superintendent. Everything else around the operations of the school is the superintendent's responsibility. So I have no influence. I shouldn't say that. I have very little say. I have very little influence with the decisions that the superintendent makes around staffing. But when you looked at what we were up against with the closure of the Conant facility and needing to locate those remaining teachers into the existing facilities, and I think the pretty clear desire of the committee to do away with the old schools and to really change the way those schools were created and how those communities were formed, it made sense to find a way to more evenly disperse the sort of knowledge that our educators have, the methodologies that they have. You know, as you recall, there were some schools that were sort of more traditional and some schools that were less traditional. There were a lot of requests from the community that some of those things remain, and the best way to have that is to sort of distribute that amongst the district. I do know that the district sent out surveys to the educators and asked them for some of their input in that, just like the district is going to do for families who need to move.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so the teachers were surveyed. I don't know what the results were, but you know, I think it's difficult for the educators. We're asking a lot of them right now, and we continue to have to remove resources from them. At the same point, I think it's also really important that all of these new schools and Blanchard get the opportunity to sort of step back, have a new group of people decide and ideate what they want their community to be. And I think it would be unfair if Blanchard got to stay very much as it is now while all these new schools were created and ideated. There is the consistency of the leadership, so the principals and the assistant principals are staying there. But I'm actually really excited to see how these new communities come together and how they create their, you know, key values and missions and identities over the next year.
I appreciate the thoughtful answer.
So-
Thank you, Adam.
Sam, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
How many surveys are you getting a week?
Across how many platforms?
Let's just say it's the school. Just say the school.
Enough. I would say, well, there's been plenty of criticisms of the school committee and the AB Forward Steering Committee on process and input, and I disagree with them. We've had plenty of opportunity to participate in the process.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's
ample opportunity to participate in the process.
Thank you. And I will also recognize there's a big difference between the opportunity to participate and to see your input in the result.
Yeah.
And very rarely are we able to very clearly point out to say, this person said this thing and this is why we're doing this now. We're getting a rainbow of input from folks, and we're trying our best to sort of meet all of those needs. And, you know, it's only a good compromise if no one's happy in the end.
I think as a select board, we see this too. People don't get what they want, and then they blame the process, and that's not always a fair, leveled criticism.
No, I just keep hearing surveys. I'm just asking as a parent, because I mean, it seems like there's a survey a day that's going to the parents.
I would say what do you call it, laddering logic?
Yeah.
Is you know, you sort of have to like build the decisions on the previously made decisions, but on every set of decisions you need a different, you know, set of inputs and a different set of criteria, and that it was quick, but it was, as far as I could tell.
The more important surveys,
accessible.
I think, Bob, were the ones we did at the end of last year and beginning of this year around the AB Forward strategic vision,
yeah,
right?
okay, yeah,
and that was the thing that we've all forgotten about now, is we started by saying, what's our strategic plan for the next 6 years? What's the vision? What are we looking to get for outcomes? And so those surveys were super important, a lot harder to answer because they're sort of more ephemeral. The more recent surveys are, do you like this, yes or no? What's wrong with it? Send your complaints here.
Adam, have there been any effort, like I know like you guys have had your meetings, you discuss, but in terms of like, it's right off the bat when you look at like the class size, right? It looks like, oh my gosh, this is stark, big change. I mean, it's not just, we hear only from the Blanchard parents, right? Like, I mean, we are here. But I'm sure it's happening even in Acton too. Then, oh my God, all my teachers, almost half of them are gonna go somewhere else, right? So has there been like any kind of explanation, like an FAQ, put together why it is the way it is so people can understand better?
Yeah, there's a website.
But with like clear...
With a very clear mission statement. I mean, the AB Forward website lays it all out. It says, it starts with why we're here, what we're doing, the steps all along the way.
Like for the most recent, like I'm sure like the AB Forward, this has been going on for a while, right?
Yep.
Like, but like for the immediate one that we have, when you guys came up with those numbers, right? Along with the numbers when it was sent out, was there like an explanation?
There was an explainer video that came out with the last round of options. It's been really hard, Priya, because the options, I mean, even for me, I would get the packet on Friday, and then on Tuesday there'd be a new set of options, and then Thursday morning there was another new set of options. So I think we've been trying to strike the balance between being responsive to the feedback that we've gotten in that time, with also sort of laying out some of the logic behind that. The best place to sort of understand that is at our meetings. Which when you watch on YouTube, you can put it 2x, which makes your life a lot more pleasurable than sitting there at 1 speed. But it's really...
Can't press fast forward on a...
2 times.
Yeah,
2x. 2x.
I wish I could do that at our meetings. But, you know, I think the underlying need for this has been clearly explained, how we've gotten to some of these last things. You know, even to your point, those class sizes that a lot of the Blanchard families have been responding to, you know, this 27, that was a model based on not knowing what the committee was going to vote on. And so, you know, there were 5 votes that we took with 2 to 4 permeations per vote, asking the superintendent to model every sort of possible class size on that was a little bit much. So, you know, we got the most common ones, and no one in the administration or the school committee wants to have large class sizes or, you know, overtly large and unbalanced class sizes. And so I have the full faith in the administration to implement all of the votes that we made in a way that's going to balance the classes the best. And I can recognize also that there are people who feel like they don't necessarily trust the process or trust the team to do that, but as someone who's been in it for not just this year, but for the past 8.5 years, never have I seen malintention in that administration.
Is it feasible now, since you guys have all voted it? No, it's
No,
still not
no,
feasible.
because there's still about 5 more surveys that need to go
Okay.
out.
All right, okay.
So the district is.
Because the more, like.
Sorry, Sam.
No, the reason I'm saying is that, like, I mean, the more people get upset, right? It gets just.
Yeah.
It just makes it worse and worse and worse. So
Yeah.
I just don't know, like, if there's a way to, I think if we give
There-
them
there- I
the
mean,
facts
we-
and the information.
We've given the administration all of the information to go implement now, and we need to give them some time to
okay.
go do that, and then come back and present it to us. It's the same reason why we couldn't see, 17 permeations of bus routes. It takes 3 weeks for the transportation office to do the routes for the district. And if we see iterations every 2 days, I mean,
There were empty buses going up and down my street, stopping at all the driveways today, so I was happy to see they're working on it.
Oh, they figured it out? Wow. They didn't, okay. All right. Adam, thank you so
My
much for
pleasure.
coming in. Thank you for taking the time, because I know all of us get a lot of questions. We try to say we're not the school committee, but you listen, so to fill us in just helps us manage that.
Of course.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
my pleasure.
Okay. Next up is Pfeiffer's Day. So we do this every year. The Minutemen come before us. They look for the common victualer's license, the liquor license, and what's the last one? The parade permit. So I think we can move through this pretty quickly. Does anybody have any questions?
Do we raise the fee?
We don't charge a fee. Okay. For Pfeiffer's Day, we do not charge a fee. All right, does anyone have any questions about the one-day common victualer's license? Okay. Now, I see the motion here, but it doesn't, do we need to say for the Boxborough Minutemen? I mean, it's very vague. It just says that we approve a victualer's license, but it doesn't say to whom.
It says on it here. Yeah.
No, I know, but the motion doesn't.
Yeah, I know.
I think this is fine if you just approve it for Pfeiffer's Day.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I move to approve a special one-day common victualer's license for Pfeiffer's Day, June 20th, 2026.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, same thing, special one-day liquor license approval. Any questions or concerns about the liquor license? I move to approve the special one-day liquor license for Pfeiffer's Day, June 20th, 2026, contingent upon receipt of a valid certificate of liability insurance.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? That one's unanimous. And that's it. And then we have to authorize to file for Pfeiffer's Day parade permit, but I don't see a motion there. So,
Yeah, there's nothing, yeah.
yeah, we don't have a motion for the Pfeiffer's Day parade or the Memorial Day parade. Do we need one?
No, you have one for the Memorial Day. Oh, no, not for the parade.
No, we don't.
I don't see one either. How about just, and
I suck at that.
how about I move to have the staff file for the Pfeiffer's Day parade permit, and the same for the Memorial Day.
So moved. Any further discussion?
Oh, somebody
I'll
second.
second.
Ah, right. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain?
And-
All right,
And
staff
the
gets
next
to do
one
that.
is move to have staff file for the Memorial Day parade permit.
I thought you just did.
I thought you did it
Well-
together. You did Pfeiffer's Day and Memorial Day. You
I
want
thought we
two?
should do, yeah, just, if you want to, just say so moved, then you can vote that one.
So moved.
Seconded.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? That one's unanimous. All right, I move to waive the fees for the special one-day common victualer's license and the special one-day liquor license for Pfeiffer's Day.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain? All right, I think we're good.
What would the amount of the fee be? Just curious.
It doesn't matter, we've never charged it to
Yeah, I
them.
would say, I wouldn't know. Yeah, we've never ever charged it.
I want to say $50.
I waited until after the votes.
I know you did.
I was very intentional.
You can go with that, you can go with that spreadsheet, I'm sure it's in that
It's in there
spreadsheet.
somewhere.
Send us.
We can pass
Going
the
up,
hat.
Sam.
Line,
It's
yeah.
going
I think it
up.
should be
We'll pass the
55.
What did you say, 10%
I like
increase?
Sam now.
Whatever.
10% increase, there you go.
All right.
We'll waive it. It doesn't matter. We'll waive
Well, no,
it.
10% is zero.
yeah, I was gonna say, 10% of zero is zero.
Exactly.
All right, next thing, I'm aiming to get out of here by 9:15, you guys. All right, next up, Select Board Liaison to the Board of Assessors. Is there anybody who would like to raise their hand to be that liaison?
Can I learn more about?
This is the Board of Assessors?
Yeah, because they need,
We have a motion here, but I'm not sure they actually need a motion, because you're not gonna be pointed to the board, it's just the liaison to
Yes.
know what
Yeah,
they're
we'll just
doing and bring
choose
the
them.
information back
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
I don't think you
With-
need a motion or
Yeah.
a vote.
Do they
I would
have
raise my
public
hand, but
meet-
I don't know if I'll be here next
Do
year.
they have public meetings?
They do.
Yeah,
They had their, they've had two now. They had one the night of special town meeting, they had another one, and they're gonna have an additional one, I think it's this Thursday night.
Are they,
Working hard.
are they like on a
Monthly basis?
monthly routine, or is it sort of as
They're
needed?
not. This is more organizational meetings right now, and they're kind of working along with us in the process of hiring a new principal assessor. But then after that, I would imagine it would be, maybe quarterly as needed to do abatements, to get updates from the assessor. They're generally not like.
Sounds like my kind of committee.
well, if you want to raise your hand,
I'd be
awesome.
happy to help, yeah.
And that's fine,
All right.
and that's fine.
Unless you want,
No, I was just gonna say, is it during the day? When
It seemed
do
this
they
was
meet?
falling down the hill, so.
Oh, yeah, when do they meet?
So far, it's been evening.
So you can do it, yeah, that's fine. I was gonna say, if it's during the day and you got your full-time job, I don't have the full-time job.
Yeah, but it sounds like it's more offline stuff and collaboration, and that's more where I can fit in,
And
that's
not
fine.
like regular.
And not weekly or semi-weekly evening meetings, yes, that's how
You don't like being out every night? I love it
even
personally.
if I could.
You don't have to do bedtime.
There you go. We got
Anyway.
it. He did.
There you go.
Okay, all right, so Sam's raising his hand for that.
Great.
Excellent. Let's move into reports. Mike, do you have any reports?
I don't. I've given you everything I've got.
Awesome. I'd say my only,
Just quickly, Mike, the survey, you're gonna bring it next meeting then?
I can put it up. I have a draft. that I can-
Are you still working on it? If you're
Yeah,
still
that's what he
working,
said in the
okay,
beginning.
yeah, if
Yeah,
you're
but
still
he's
working
still
on it,
working
that's
on
Yeah, I
fine.
can bring you
it's just-
something more polished to the next meeting.
Yeah, that's fine.
This is the
yeah.
survey for,
Town
For the
needs.
town needs and like the town hours, all
Yeah.
that, yeah.
so that's my question. Is it combined, Mike? Are you gonna put, needs and hours, or is it, what are you thinking?
It was gonna be in one, it was gonna have two separate surveys, one for staff, one for residents.
But yes, we're combining all of that, because town hall hours are part of what are your needs from the town.
Town,
So yes, it is, all of
Combined.
the questions will be combined, the staff will have a survey, the public will have a survey, but the topics will be the same.
Got it.
Yeah.
Understand.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Okay, got it, understand.
That's
Um,
fine, if you're working on it, that's fine.
Okay, perfect.
We have some updates on the, from the fire station committee, but I think.
Go ahead,
Okay.
if you have,
Um,
if you want to.
So last Thursday, the Fire Station Building Committee met, and our OPM, Steve Kirby, pulled together a matrix with all of the top choices from the committee members. And then they used those scores as a basis for discussion to select their top three, which they did. Out of the 8 respondents to the RFQ, 2 of them were disqualified for not meeting the minimum requirements. And then there were 6, and 4 easily rose up, and then discussion ensued. They really had some great applicants, very
Good.
well qualified firms, and they did select the top 3. We've reached out to them, and those top 3 firms are gonna be interviewed this Wednesday, and it's,
Context, Tecton, and KBA.
yes,
I don't think I've ever heard of Tecton, I've heard of the other two.
Tecton is out of Connecticut,
Oh.
but they've done a lot of fire stations in Massachusetts.
They're not the brick building people, are they? The
Um,
ugly brick buildings?
They've all done, these 3 actually had a variety of designs.
Okay, good.
The one that had kind
All
of cookie
boxes?
cutter
Yeah.
boxes.
All cinder
They
block
didn't- They didn't
boxes.
make it, and that wasn't the only reason they didn't make it.
Never would have made it
But
through
these-
design review.
These three all have significant experience in designing and through construction of fire stations in Massachusetts. So I feel confident that whoever gets selected, they're going to do well. Of the three, there was a clear one that had, I think, the best presentation materials that came in. But the other two were like just behind it, all very good. And then, but I think the interview is going to tell a lot because it's going to, the committee is going to get to meet the team.
Right.
The architect, the designer, the project lead, the senior project lead, and any other people, and probably 4 or 5 members from their team that are going to come in, cross the table and interview with them. And, the committee's going to decide, is this the right team? And do they have the right fit for Boxborough and the right sort of mix of personalities to be able to serve the town well over the next 2 to 3 years of designing construction? So that'll happen this Thursday night. Wednesday night. This Wednesday night, there'll be an interview at 6, at 7, at 8, just going alphabetically. They will not be live broadcast. They'll all be recorded for broadcasting later so that the last team can't see the
Right.
first team interviewing.
Right. We did that before, yeah.
Yes.
We've done that.
Yeah.
And there won't be any public input, right?
Yeah, correct. So the interviews are open to the public if they come in person. There will be no Zoom option, so people can come in, but there'll be no public input, no public questions, anything. It's really just for the committee to ask the interview questions and then deliberate at the end and select one.
Now, you and I talked about this before. I'm only putting this out there for the benefit of anybody who might be watching. The town is not obligated to hire the lowest price, right? We are looking for the best value and the best match for the town.
Correct. The way this
Right.
works is very different from private bidding. It's also very different from the construction, which would be a year or so from now when we go to hire the general contractor and the filed sub-bids, which is lowest qualified bid. This, the law is clear. You must first go through selecting by qualification, and then once you select the number 1, 2, and 3 by qualification, the town starts negotiating with the number 1 qualified bidder, and then it's negotiating with that one. If the town can't come to a satisfactory negotiation with that one is out, and then it's on to number 2, and you negotiate with that one. If it can't come to a negotiated, a fair negotiated contract with that one is out, and it moves on to number 3. Once number 1 is out, it's out.
Yeah,
It's
no coming
not
back.
like in the private sector where you, okay, let's park you over here, let's see what you got to say, and you bid them against each other. In public design or selection law, that's not allowed.
Okay.
It's illegal. We actually have to go qualification and then negotiation.
Does anybody have any questions about that? All right, I just wanted to be clear because there has been a lot of discussion about it, so thank you, Mike.
So the difference is, as you just said, it's not lowest for design, but it is lowest for construction.
Lowest, yeah, correct.
Okay.
For the construction, it's lowest qualified. So the general and filed sub bids will all be pre-qualified, and then they get to bid, and then it's lowest amongst those. One other thing I need to update you on, we talked about how am I gonna keep both the fire station committee and the select board up to date on how negotiations go. I found out today that we are not allowed to go into executive session for an update on this. I thought we were gonna be able to use either reason number 2 or reason number 7 to give you an update. We can't. Reason number 2 is for negotiating contract with non-union. I thought we were gonna be able to use that because it's non-union, but it's non-union personnel hiring employees. Can't use that. Reason number 7 is, to update on other things allowed by law. I thought we were gonna be able to use, Chapter 7C as that law that we're updating. We're not. I did get an opinion on it because I wanted to make sure, because it's a very public-facing process, and the opinion from town council is, no, we can't do that.
So tell me how you're planning to manage this then.
So what I'm gonna do is I will send information out to you and not give you the opportunity to deliberate and discuss and.
So that's gonna be really important, everybody. No respond all.
Yeah, but anyone can respond to me directly. What we're doing this Wednesday night, we're going to do an executive session with the Fire Station Building Committee because they're interested in getting their input to Steve Kirby, our OPM, and myself as we go to negotiate this contract. And because we can't do that, what I sent out an email earlier this evening to the committee saying, any of your guidelines, wishes, or strategy as far as negotiating with the selected architect, please send that directly to myself and Steve so that we can, use that as we negotiate the contract.
Could a select board member that isn't on the Fire Station Building Committee attend that executive session?
It won't be an executive session.
Oh, it'll be a,
It'll be just, they're gonna, same
I
way.
thought you said they would go into an exec.
No,
Oh, okay.
no, that was my hope, to be able to go into executive session after they make their selection this
That
Wednesday.
committee, not this
That
board.
committee.
Okay,
But it turns out, can't do that either.
okay.
Because it's negotiating with a private company to do, so, so I've asked them to directly come back to Steve and I and give us the guidelines. So Steve and I will, okay, these are the 6 things that they're looking for us to use as guidelines as we negotiate their contract.
Okay. Any other questions?
No, couple of things too is to kind of add to what Mike was saying. So the among the 4, I think we also relied heavily on the recommendations, right, from
the references.
references from other towns for all the 4. So you and the chief did all the references. So we also got a lot of input in terms of people who have actually used them.
Good.
And that's how
Yeah.
we came.
Into what we had, there was a lot to do, and it was a very short timeline.
Yeah, they
So
did
it was Steve, our OPM, Rajon, myself, and Chief that did
Wow.
the references. And it was, for 8 architectural firms who'd done many projects and used a lot of towns for references, we had a lot of digging to do. And we were right up until game time getting that information in together and put that into a matrix as well.
You're as
And
good as your last project.
yeah, and we actually, there was so many, now, like somebody who applies for a job, here's the 3 references I want you to use. We didn't do that. We went to all the projects they've done, and we focused on Massachusetts projects,
Yeah.
fire stations, recent. And
Good.
we wanted recently completed.
Yeah.
And even with that,
Yeah.
it was a solid week's work. We each took 2 architects and deep dove into those. And it was a lot of work, but I think it was helpful for the committee to
It
hear.
was very helpful.
We only had,
to-
2 references that said they would not hire that firm again. And
But I'm
so
guessing they didn't rise to the top.
they did not. They actually already had come out low in the rankings.
Oh.
Yeah.
One was disqualified, one was low in the rankings. And so the committee's preferences for architects matched up pretty well with the reference checks that we got. So it was a good validation of the
Yeah.
work that we had done on both
Nice.
sides.
Yeah.
That's,
So,
I know
mean,
you guys did a ton of work. I mean,
Yeah, there was
going
a
through
lot
all
of work,
that.
a lot of work, and I
Yeah,
think
thank
all the
you.
committee members did a phenomenal job, and they
Yeah.
took everything into consideration, like the architects, engineers, how long they have been with the firm, like how involved were they, how did they have any projects that are still pending, like how much time will they be able to give to us?
Right.
Like all of that were taken, were they sustainable, sustainability also played a big role. So everything was taken into consideration.
Yeah.
It was a lot of work, but it was very interesting to see, even when all of us had mapped out and assessed each one of them, most of us had pretty similar
Yeah.
assessments, right?
Interesting.
And our, pretty much the top 3 was picked out by majority, or if not
Right.
all of us, I think. So that was
I-
interesting.
That's yeah. Did they, The other thing I'm thinking about when I said you're as good as your last project, you're only as good as the employees you have. So is asking about employee attrition or what are long-term plans for the company? Again, you can't control somebody having a baby or moving away.
Yeah,
But I'd
so-
like to know the people I'm interviewing will be the people that
Yeah,
that
so
work
we
for
even
us.
said, not the principal, the person, project manager, we are not gonna talk to them. We really wanna talk to the architects, the engineers that are gonna be
Actually working for
with us,
Okay.
right?
Or with us.
So we don't want just the top person
Right.
answering all the questions. We wanna be able to talk,
Awesome.
direct it to the folks that are gonna be working with us directly.
Yeah,
From the
and
team.
the committee asked them questions about things that they had read. Now, the 8 response booklets that came in stacked about this high.
Oh, my
And
God.
they came in boxes. And so each committee member had between 12 to 15 hours of very dense technical reading to do. On the committee, there is 1 architect and 1 engineer OPM. But the rest are all highly educated people, but not really with that sort of background. So it was heavy reading.
Yeah.
But they talked about, here's our team, here's our employees, here's how long they've been with the firm, and there were a lot of questions about, oh, wait a minute, I see this one, you know, they've had a lot of turnover, their people have been there 1, 2 years, et cetera, whereas this one, on average, they've been there 15 years.
Perfect,
or
so you did
whatever.
take that into account?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
the committee
Yeah.
did.
Good, thank
Yeah,
you.
we took that.
It's
So,
important, yeah.
It was very thorough. We were, yeah.
The only question I had was, and I don't know where it was in the process, so I want to ask the question. I guess it's the references. Were they small towns, or were they large towns, or a mixture of both? Because, I mean, money is an issue, so, I mean, exactly.
Yeah, it was a mix. So to apply for, to be an architect for this project, we set the minimum that the firm had to have designed 3 fire stations, minimum of $20 million project. But as far as the size, we got City of Boston, we got City of Worcester, we got, you know,
Cambridge.
Carlisle, we got
Yep.
the whole mix.
For
But-
reference
but we
checks.
checked them all,
Yeah.
but we were mostly interested in stuff that was like us. We were not, we did check some references on renovations and additions and
Yeah.
substations, but we were really more focused on the full design to construction of a full fire station headquarter
Right.
in a community that's like us. Like we were looking at Westford, we were looking
Right.
at, yeah, so, but we did call the other ones as well.
No, that was my question. I mean, because what Westford, what Chelmsford can afford is not what Lowell can afford, so exactly, so what Boxborough, I mean, so yeah, exactly. I'm glad you didn't check Leominster's, you know, if that was a reference, like, who cares? Leominster can fudge their money however they want.
Well, we were actually checking references on things like that, big cities, because the work they did there mattered too. Even though, you know, they may not be designing to that project, still, we want to know their work history.
Okay.
Have they left, you know, have they had, you know, legal issues or unfinished work, and no matter what size the project was, so we wanted that as well.
Any other questions? All right, well, I should have known we needed to check that one through. I don't have anything. Do you have a report, Wes?
Good.
Priya?
I had, from the Sustainability Committee, we were talking about the transfer station, right? And they had a grant with the DEP, and there was a person that was a point person. That person left, and they didn't have anybody replacing. That was a while ago.
Oh,
So
okay.
now they have a person that has been replaced, and I think his name is Ron, and he's going to be working with the waste management working group. Initially started, and then now they stopped, right? So some of the things that I know Ed kind of talked about, like the pay-as-you-throw, that is one of the things that they're going to look at. The other one is also curbside municipal contractor for the whole town. So they're going to look into that too, study for that piece as well. So I know, like, I think that is something that we should definitely look into, because people like me, I pay like $1,200. Even if I'm supposed to pay only $600 or $800, it's a bargain for me. We might still be able to subsidize our seniors for curbside pickup if that is feasible. So
I'm gonna hold my tongue and we'll see what happens.
we'll see what the outcome is. So, I mean, we might be able to manage.
The only town curbside I'm aware of in the area is Westford. Everybody else, nobody else can afford it, because Westford's had it for a long time, and Stowe got rid of everything.
Okay.
You know, so we have looked into this before, and it was extraordinarily expensive to implement. So, but again, let's see what happens. Times have changed, so let's see.
What I have is town-managed curbside
Oh, you do?
pickup,
Okay.
and it's no cheaper. And when I was on the finance committee, I tried to get rid of it, because I thought the town would do better not doing that. And a couple of people agreed with me, including the finance director and the town administrator. But the rest of FinCom was like, nah, this is the way people, this is what they're used to. And even though we know it costs more, they'd rather see it rolled into their taxes. I'm like, but we're paying so much more, this is stupid. Yeah, but this is so it didn't change. So it's
Nobody likes change,
it's
Michael.
definitely not a savings.
It's
Yeah.
just not,
It-
well,
it-
okay, so
at
that's
least-
one of the things
At
they're
least when I
gonna look
looked
at.
into it,
Yeah.
at least
Well,
when I looked at it,
I
it was
think
not a
that,
saving. We pay,
Lesson learned.
similarly, about $1,000 a year through our
Yeah.
taxes for it, so it wasn't a savings.
Yeah. Okay. Well, again, I support all the hard work they're doing. So, again,
I
times
mean,
might
it's
change.
it's a
there might
grant,
be-
it's a free grant, so they are gonna be
Yeah,
looking
why
into
not?
that, so we'll
Yeah.
see what happens. I
Yeah.
think that was one of the main things. And then they were also looking at a grant for, to put an EV charging station as well.
Yes.
Here? Or
Ian,
at the-
So Ian, they were talking about this recently. Ian came over and he was surveying a number of people, and I said, the library's already got EV charging stations.
well, it's
and
at Town Hall, right?
Yeah, I
In
said
one
the
of
only
those-
other one that makes sense to me until we get a new fire station would be Town Hall.
What about Blanchard? No?
It's right next.
Oh, it's not our property. Thank you. Sorry.
Hour.
You can have it back for a dollar.
Oh, no, thank you. We're good.
Yeah, so,
I
that's,
don't know what it costs, but I don't know why we would want something so close to the library unless the library was being.
no, this will be for a grant, only if we get a grant.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, if we get a grant, then we'll go, not like otherwise, but.
Right. Okay.
Should put it near closer to the highway, I would say.
It's-
If there's,
Oh, that actually
if
makes
there's
sense,
town land
yeah.
over there, it would be.
Does the hotel have any? I wonder. Probably not.
No idea.
Or Campanelli must have them somewhere.
They do. They
Yeah,
have,
that was
they have them at TUV.
Oh, of course they do.
There's a whole row of
That's
them
right.
there.
I can picture
Yeah,
that.
and there may be other
For
ones.
public use?
Probably.
I don't
think-
know. Probably anybody with a credit card.
I think, yeah.
No, I'm serious.
That's what I'm saying, like, if you're driving down 495, like,
Next time
you
I'm
should be
walking
able
there, I'm
to-
gonna go and check, but I would
Yeah.
bet if you got a credit card, you probably, I'll check.
I think it depends on time of day.
Maybe, yeah.
Reserved for their employees during the
Yeah, a
Yeah,
lot of
because,
times.
right, because there aren't that many, I think you're absolutely right, I think during the day, they're hard to find because the employees are using them, but if you go after hours, you could probably get it, yeah.
Can we put one in our transfer station?
And so what are you gonna,
Close, yeah.
so what are you gonna
Open
do?
for 16 hours a week.
Yeah, sit there for 3 hours?
Yeah, you volunteer at the swap shed while your car is charging. You don't have to
There
pay.
you go.
Hey, like you guys said, another town-owned property. so-
Sustainability committee only, yeah.
All right. Okay.
What?
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
I hear we,
Okay,
I hear
not
we own
funny.
that.
Sam, you got anything?
I do not. I'm
Okay.
looking forward to some minutes.
Yes. All right. Okay. I move to, has everyone had a chance to read the minutes for March 23rd and the 30th?
I am.
Any edits?
Nope.
Comments, changes? Excellent day. Then I move to approve the select board meeting minutes of March 23rd, 2026 and March 30th, 2026 as presented.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, go for it, Wes.
Move to adjourn.
I will
Second.
second that. Whoa, you got it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Thank you, everybody.
We're done.